I never hate my race, but until recently I didn't know history class was jacked completely. Found my new family with the team going free. My old family doesn't understand me, cause I am so pro-white. No coke, no Sprite, I am rolling with the public, gonna be more white. I saw them twist history right before my very eyes. Insurrection Day, it's in the book and it's all lies. But now I am alive and well to tell it. But will generations down the line be able to sell it? I've always been a thinker on the search for both sides, but they label me an outcast and they cannot tell me why. Guess I'm just a black sheep, white boy who doesn't hesitate to make a lot of fucking noise. I'm the black sheep, white boy, and I wouldn't change a thing if I ever had the choice. Cause the red's the color I bleed. Yes, we all do bleed red. I have to protect my family. So why does affirmative action make them not hire me? Even in the countries where I'm the minority. Is my race just that awesome and no other could compete? Is that what the anti-whites are trying to tell me? Why am I always seen as such a threat? To the point they wanna strip me down till there's nothing left. Old friends from high school, man, I haven't kept one, but I got a new crew and it's where I belong. Cause if you ain't going free, you ain't rolling with me. And there are even anti-whites in my own family. But I am the one who's comfortable with myself, trying to save them from the hate so wildly raising hell. Cause I'm the black sheep, white boy who doesn't hesitate to make a lot of fucking noise. I'm the black sheep, white boy, and I wouldn't change a thing if I ever had the choice. Cause the red's the color I bleed. Yes, we all do bleed red. I have to protect my family. I heard that Scotland is too white, is Nigeria too black? Don't get your panties in a bunch, cause I have the right to ask. See, I'm the black sheep, cause I call it hypocrisy. And the media will give you emotions, but they will not give you honesty. Yeah, you have your feelings, but I have the crime rate. And I'ma shoot to kill if there's a danger my way. So I do not blame the cops, just the ones who are cowards, who hesitate to pull the trigger unless it is one of ours. Cause he's a black sheep, white boy who doesn't hesitate to make a lot of fucking noise. I'm the black sheep, white boy, and I wouldn't change a thing if I ever had the choice. Cause the red's the color I bleed. Yes, we all do bleed red. I have to protect my family. So I'm gonna find people to death.
One final testimony. One final testimony here. This is from Nathaniel. I just found this, and it speaks to me on a lot of levels. Too many forget that the continuance of a people should come from the love of one's own people, and not a hate for the other. I hate the mistakes I made. I wear them every day, and some I even wish I could take back. But time is merciless and flows only forward. I'm trying to rectify them, but some I may just have to live with. It's an uphill battle. Listen to this guy, No White Guilt.
Listen to this guy, No White Guilt. No White Guilt. No White Guilt. Listen to this guy, No White Guilt. No White Guilt. No White Guilt.
Everything from being a man to encouraging your kin to face tattoos to how you identify yourself and your beliefs. discerning your motivations for why you want to see the children of the West survive. Don't make my mistakes. You'll feel like a fool otherwise. Don't make my mistakes. That's from Nathaniel Nelson. A warning to him about the warnings that he wished he had somebody share with him.
Listen to this, guys. No white guilt. No white guilt. No white guilt. Listen to this, guys. No white guilt. No white guilt. No white guilt. Listen to this, guys. No white guilt. No white guilt. No white guilt. Listen to this, guys. No white guilt. No white guilt. No white guilt.
And we are rolling in. Let me know if you can hear the audio okay. And if everything else is going well, great to see everybody on this Wednesday evening. Let me move the conversation over here. I see Persona, Nathaniel Westerman, great Caleb is with us. Kent, and there's Anna Speaks. Out, she was with us the last time we rolled in. And there's the great Lacey. Wonderful to see you, young lady. And who else is here? Kent is here. Rooster is here. Yeah, you can check out the latest roll in just before this one. And we had Anna on. It was a fantastic discussion. And she shares there all of her links, so you can go check that out. We're going to be talking about is he a black nationalist? I don't know. I don't know much about him. But I'll be introducing that in just a minute, after I see how everyone is doing. Rooster, Victor, please let folks know that we are live, that we rolled in. There's a great time traveler. Caleb says, got to get some work done, but he'll be checking the chat and listening. Great, brother. Fantastic. Yeah, please let everybody know that we are together. We're going to be reviewing this, I think it was something like 14 minutes long. So his video. Might be another video right now that I'm learning about to review. It'll be interesting in the coming days or next week or something. Persona says, pretty sure that he's a black nationalist. And if he isn't, then he's close to one. Tim is here. Said that Lucas was normal than George Floyd, and he flipped out. There is the great Yiz the Unifier doing great things, and we're going to be celebrating this true force of nature in this coming Sunday in the Going Free gathering. Mind Over Magic is here. Yeah, I know Jeffrey Doherty. And he and I talk. Thank you. It should. We have a person. We have a solo, and let me see if he responded to me yet, so I can. One of our solo activists, who our solo activists, they go out into the world. Now it doesn't look like he's responded yet. They do what our teams do, our outreach teams do, but they are solo out there. So one of the solo white well-being activists out there, hard at work in a number of different areas, focuses on a couple of different individuals, and moves that around. He has told me about this Lucas individual, and I have some of what he shared here. I won't be sharing his name because he didn't get back to me, his screen name. He didn't get back to me to say whether I could or not. So I will mention it in the future if he says, yeah, go ahead and mention it. But he did write me about this Lucas YouTuber and whatever other platforms he's on. Lucas has a audience of, looks like 412,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is not the most difficult thing to do in the world when you are anti-white. Now, I don't know if he's anti-white, but it certainly does. I opened up his, and I'll put it up on the screen in just a moment, his YouTube page, and I'm just looking at the thumbnails, and it does appear to be pretty anti-white. Promethean Healing is here. Great to see you. Your wife's boyfriend is here. All right. Carrie says, should be interesting. Thank you. I hope so. We're going to see, because this guy, I was told that he's supposed to give some smart arguments, as opposed to what we normally see out of anti-whites, which is really lowbrow as possible, thuggish, almost unintelligible rage and fantasy. So we'll see. We'll see. I'll read to you right now what this solo activist in white well-being shared with me. He says, on Lucas, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt regarding his motivation. He sees everything as anti-black. Of course, he has to use that term, and anti-white, because of you, Jason. That's right. All of us. He will deflect, and that's exactly as I predicted, by the way. He will deflect and deny in typical narcissist fashion. He's smart, and at the very least, I respect him as a worthy adversary. What I'd like to convince him and his audience of is to consider the possibility that anti-white and anti-black can both exist, that until we recognize the predominant narrative and moral imperative of the West is anti-white, blacks are also victims of anti-whiteism, as is America as a whole. To consider this may be intentionally to destroy Western civilization for everyone. Essentially, the role he is playing in that process is immoral, misguided, has negative consequences for black people. We'll see how open he is to that idea and go from there. Well, so one of our wonderful, very active, very successful solo activists in service to white well-being, and I salute them, those who don't mind being named, and those who don't want to be named, even have their screen names out there, any of their screen names. I get it. We're under this anti-whiteism. Might be a clue for Lucas that we're under kind of the people who care about whites. We kind of have to like slink around in the shadows, because society is set against white people, not against anti-white people, not against black people, not against black people who, I mean, you can be on YouTube and you can have 412,000 followers and many more. There are plenty of others. So kind of should be a sign about whether is society anti-white or anti-black. Should be a bit of a sign here. But we'll see how well he gets it or not, right? Sock is here. Bescape is here. C is here. Pearl Lady. Hello, young lady. Great to see you. Cool. Papa J Magic. Robert. Does anybody, let's see. To me, he was one of those guys, Jason, talks about the right-wing whites. Think are there as racial shields. So is this guy just totally flown under the radar for me? Hello, Linda. How are you? Great to see you. Please share the URL. Please share that we are live, and I'm going to be reviewing this anti-white video. Potentially, it looks like it's going to be anti-white. It's got like a screaming white guy on the front, and he says, Ignats triggered by proud family black history. So Ignat, of course, is this very illiterate way to say ignorant, which, of course, is not even used properly then. The word is not even used properly when ignorant people who are not uneducated, they don't know what the word means. So then they take the actual word, they reduce it to something that sounds really ugly, and then they remove the meaning. and they just make it mean anything negative and stupid. But that's fine. That's fine. They could just do that to my language, our language. You're welcome, English language. But yeah, so I'm guessing though, since Ignats denotes and connotes many negative things, that he's referring to white people negatively, but maybe not all white people. We'll see. Davey, hello to you. Roger is here. Who has heard of this Lucas? And he calls himself the Amazing Lucas. Politics, gaming, dating. Okay. Dating. And it looks like his picture here on the banner, I'll put it up on the screen in just a minute, looks like he's got one of the, like a chunk missing from his eyebrow. Now, is this like a daintyism? People who are overly concerned, like, or is it an actual scar that ran through his eye? Was he actually like hit his face when he was a child, or is this some sort of daintyism? So the Great Sloths is here. So it looks like some of you have heard of him and some of you haven't. And I guess those coming from maybe the gaming community, if he games a lot. Yiz says that she's listened to some of Lucas and he's surprisingly agreeable. Nathaniel says that the eyebrow slit is trendy. Oh, well, I hope for his sake it's a scar. Because for a male to go to that extent on his face, might as well put rouge on. Morb says that Lucas is trying to be the Black Destiny. Well, I hope he aspires to more than that. I mean, come on. Destiny is like this asexual, ugly Ken doll. I mean, let's just be real. Like short, ugly Ken doll. So I hope that Lucas is aspiring more than that. Well, Caleb, what's the code? What's the meaning of the code here? All right, let's go ahead and put it up on the screen. And we should have it available. There we go. There it is. So looks like targeting white people, Charlie Kirk, race baits white people. Okay, so yeah, this is so far not looking good. Let's see. You don't see anything about white people here. And here's, wait, no, that's a different one. White Ignants. Ignants. All right. So I'm guessing what we have here is an anti-white. But, you know, as I look at him here, boy, he's not going to be considered black by a lot of black people. This guy's sure does have a lot of white blood in his heritage. I don't know if can he be a black nationalist with this much white blood in his history? I mean, seriously. How many white guys have been in this guy's history? That's what I'm wondering. How many white guys are in this guy? I'm just saying. How many white guys are in this guy? I think he's got a lot of white guys in him. The great Lunder is here. Ash is here. He probably gets an N-word. No, we don't say that kind of. That is for the racial epithets, are for the groups of people that don't show up in service to white well-being. But I get what you're saying. Yiz says she was actually thinking of another creator, doesn't recognize this guy. So Persona says he's probably 25 to 50% white. So that's a lot of white guys to be in him. That is a whole lot of white guys to be in this guy here. I don't know if he's going to get the black guy pass. I don't know if hey, there's bass guitars. Great to see you, brother. I don't know if it's like totally legitimate then. So let's go ahead. This is the one. Ignants triggered by proud family black history. I have no idea. I have no idea what this is. So this is the video, though, that our solo activist recommended. Or I guess maybe the one he saw.
Hyundai Elantra versus Honda Civic.
No commercials for you. So he's monetized. Isn't that interesting? I wonder how long I would be monetized if I said something negative, which I wouldn't, about all black people. I would never categorize an entire group of people. I've never even done that. But long before there was such a thing as YouTube rules, I've never said the entire group of people that are this are exactly that. It's a preposterous thing to say. But then you have these rules put in place by anti-whites across social media, everywhere in social media, where you can't say anything, even where a person you're talking with would totally understand what you're saying. If you were to say, oh, all of this group, they all like everybody in Delaware and then something, can't drive or something like this. It hasn't gotten bad enough yet, of course, hasn't gotten anti-white enough yet to do this for all drivers in Delaware. But a person would know what you meant. They would know that you didn't mean every single driver in Delaware, that Delaware roads, you've had problems on them. And maybe you've seen Delaware drivers elsewhere, and either you saw something out of them that you thought was similar to Delaware, or so they would know what you meant. But that's impermissible in the anti-white world we live in. I wonder if Lucas, the black nationalist, I wonder if he identifies that or not when he talks about society, that there is this huge difference between the way that non-whites, especially angelized black people, white people are demonized, black people are angelized. They said they're great, they're wonderful, they're everything good, etc. This is what the media says. My opinion, you can check it out. But I wonder if he observes that. That's kind of a big thing, right? That if I were to say black and then follow that and be talking about all black people and then follow that with something negative, a word that's negative, like he's using a negative word here, Ignats. Would I be allowed to grow to 412? That would they be pushing my channel? Would they be allowing me to be monetized? So in the first seconds of the video, before it even starts, I can have a commercial that makes me a bunch of money? No, that's not going to happen. So the system's in favor of anti-whites, whatever race they are, white, black, whatever. So let's see what he has to say. Let's get started. Let's see what you all are saying. Lunder says, why not get monetized? What you say doesn't break YouTube rules. Oh, no, they demonetized me. They demonetized me twice, my brother. Twice they demonetized me. Trance is here. All right. Who's ready to dismember an anti-white that is said to make intelligent or smart arguments in favor of anti-whites? Well, specifically blacks, even though he's got a lot of white guys in him.
They are now crying over history.
All right. So where's he going right away? Where is it? What's the tactic he's employing right away? This is the same tactic as homophobic. You have to prove to me that you're not sad, that you're not injured, that you're not fragile, that you're not, I'll do this, frangible. I'll use a word they should actually be using in that scenario, but anti-whites are too dumb. Should be using frangible. But you have to prove to me that you, so this is a psychological trick that they learn in entertainment media. You have to be, I'm talking about this to teach you so that you can take on anti-whites in the world. How many creators do that? I know Yiz does it. How many other content creators out there do that? How many other thought leaders do that? That you might observe out in the white sympathetic sphere? Well, outside of white well-being, zero, right? I've been around for 3 decades, so I know. So immediately it's, you have to prove to me. I'm the one who gets this, and the one who gets to decide and is the one who is in charge, is the one who gets what they want. The other one is jumping through the hoop. The other one is doing the backflips. Are you satisfied yet? You never allow an anti-white to put you there. So that's immediately, oh, you're crying. They're just crying. All right. So then what you have to do, what's the only response to this? To satisfy his accusation is that you have to claim that you're not harmed by anti-whiteism. And how many white people fall for that? Almost all. Almost all. Kate just tweeted about all these anti-white racial slurs coming out of Auburn University from the Black Student Union there. And throughout that thread are white people saying, words don't bother me. Sticks and stones. Really? It's concepts that defeated the West. There's what words don't have any power, but there's one word that can get you fired immediately from your job. Racist. There's one word that can cost you your ability to pay for your home, your ability to pay for your medical treatment, your health insurance. But words don't have any power. How many white people fall for this? Almost all of them. Let's continue. Wait, by the way, can you hear him okay? Can everybody hear him okay? The great Franklin is here. Gentile gentleman is here. Wonderful to see you all. Everybody, please share the URL. Let folks know that we are rolling. We're live. We're going to be talking about the arguments made by the smart arguments made by, and I'll just read again from our solo activist said, going to give him the benefit of the doubt, talking about Lucas, reading his regarding his motivation. He sees everything as anti-black. Of course, he has to use that term and anti-white because of you, Jason. He will deflect and deny in typical narcissist fashion. He's smart. And at the very least, I respect him as a worthy adversary. So let's get into this. It's worth talking about then. Just those lines right there, I said, I got to review it, demolish him, and educate the community, empower each one of you so that you can go out in the world and do the same thing. Okay. Could everybody hear him all right? Yes. Okay. Hyperborean dream. Thank you.
Oh, my goodness. So I have to ask, bro.
That was like an Arab accent or Indian accent he just did, which would, of course, get me into trouble with YouTube.
When will the fragility end?
Oh, right there. Oh, my God. How predictable. When will the fragility? You got to prove to me. So this claim that we're sloths, jump in there with what you have. I know you've written before about this claim that, you being victimized, you complaining about your victimization is a sign of your weakness. This is obviously anti-white tactic, and it's anti-white to dismiss the victimization of white people as some overly sensitive individual. Clip says, how many white guys are in Lucas? Depends on what night of the week. This guy looks very white for a black guy, but I'm just saying.
And can someone tell me when will the fragility end? I'm so sick and tired of the Ignants crying. Aren't you? I don't know. For me, I'm so sick.
Okay, so any complaint so that's rabid anti-whiteism. I'm sick and tired, and he's not. Very well that he's not talking about like the more radical elements, if you will, in the white sympathetic sphere. He's going to be talking about like conservative tier Republicans or something like this. And he can't stand white people complaining at all about their victimization at all. That tells you everything you need to know about him right then. So sick of them complaining about being victim. Really? To what degree are white people complaining in the United States or across the West? Almost none. Why is that? Because the entire ether is filled with the complaints of non-white people. That's why. But of course, he would say, oh, well, their complaints are valid. It's totally legitimate for them to complain, but white people can't complain about their victimization. If you're not allowed to complain about your victimization, if he's just going to smirk it off and laugh it off, then are you able to be, is the victimization able to be worse? Is the victimization going to go away? Is it he's just going to deny it even exists, isn't he? If you would like to financially gift over the course of this roll-in, you may do so at Entropy, you may do so at Odyssey, you may do so at D Live, you may do so on Cash App. All of those are up and running, and I will be looking at them over the course of the roll-in. Everybody who financially gifts will have their financial gift, comment, or question read. Otherwise, tag me as No White Guilt across these platforms, and I'll see it, and I'll read what you had to say there. Let's continue. Caleb says, boom, debate over, Jason won. That was easy. Yeah, this is one of the smart ones. Has come out. He's come out swinging, and I just flattened him. All right, let's see what else he has.
Sick and tired of them whining and crying and then claiming victimhood. Oh, this is anti-white racism. Oh, the media is...
Okay, he just said anti-white. Now, saying attacking racism on is a great reason why you don't do that. Is a great reason why we teach not to do that. He used anti-white because of us. He's using anti-black as a consequence of anti-white being used, and we want him using anti-black, so that's good. But you see what he's doing here. He's ridiculing you. And when you come across an anti-white who does this, this is their tactic. They ridicule you. So could you imagine? I want you to take this jocular attitude that he has, and I want you to think right now about the videos showing up everywhere, the videos you've seen for years and years now, since cell phones are able to take videos of white people being gang attacked and beaten and stabbed and mauled, and the little girl up in the high school beaten and everything, and then killing herself later. I want you to think about that. The children on the school buses, the little white boy pinned against the metal railing of the bus, being choked out of his life by a anti-white, non-white female twice his size on the school bus. I want you to think about them. And this is his response. This is this anti-white response to white people being victimized. It's funny. It's funny to somebody like this that you would complain about that victimization, that you would say enough is enough, that we're tired of being white erased, that we're tired of the terrorism, the anti-white terrorism. To him, that's funny. So the tactics so far, not very smart. It's just laugh at you if you complain about our victimization. And of course, the ridicule of a people's victimization is something that he wouldn't do for anyone else, certainly wouldn't do for the black race. He wouldn't hear black people stand up and complain about their victimization and start laughing and say he's so tired of the tears of all those Ignats. No, he would take it very seriously. You should email Destiny. He'll give you a platform to speak on and give a chance to spread your message. I may have emailed him at some point in the past, and I don't think I heard anything back. To dismiss our victimization is to immediately identify that person as anti-white. So you know immediately you're dealing. That's how I can know immediately where he's coming from. This clownish, buffoonish response to our victimization. Yiz says, wait a minute, this is the guy I was thinking about. He's seemingly changed a lot since I heard him a few years ago. He's become way different. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely not the person you were talking about earlier as you saw him at that time. Now it's rabid anti-whiteism. So now you know what you're dealing with. If you're in a conversation with an anti-white that begins like this, is talking like this, starts making a joke about it, very easily identify them as anti-white and tell them that they're anti-white. Would they mock this? You can say to them, would you mock and ridicule the victimization of black people, your people? Would you mock and ridicule the victimization of Jewish people? You're only mocking the victimization of white people because you're anti-white.
against me. Oh, the judicial system's against me. Oh, the country's against me. I'm so sick and tired.
The judicial system and the country's against me, and he thinks that's funny. So that means he knows that this system, do you remember that the system is anti-white at every level? He knows it. And of course they do, but he just admitted it. He just admitted that he's aware that the system is anti-white. Do you remember that a couple of years ago, that young man who said he was on the college campus, white young man, and he said he loves his people and he respects his history, and then the anti-white, non-white females that were around him videotaping this said, we're videotaping this, we're going to put it up on Twitter. Do what you do, Twitter. Take him down. Do what you do. Because they know it's all anti-white. He just admitted that he knew it. So now, if at any point later he says, he pretends like it's not the case, everything is neutral, then you know he's lying.
Tired of it. And you wonder why the suicide rates are skyrocketing, huh? You wonder why your birth rate is declining.
Okay, so Jesus, he's actually saying that he's aware that our suicide rate is skyrocketing and birth rate is declining.
You wonder why interracial marriages and couples and relationships are on the increase. You wonder why all this is happening. And it's because, okay, because
let's hear it.
Fragility and the Ignants have.
Okay. So in other words, if you want to put an end to the victimization, we'll say the suicides, the drug use, biological white erasure, then you have to overlook all of that harm. You have to act like none of that is happening. What an anti-white retard this guy is. I mean, can you believe that's just what he proposed? What a fucking low IQ retard he is. Anti-white is all hell. You got suicides, you got biological white erasure, you got drug use, you got all these other things going on in your community. The only way to get over this, all this horrible stuff going on, is to embrace it all. You have to not complain about it, because if you do, then you're delicate. No, the guy who's delicate, who has had his barber put an artificial slit in his eyebrow, that's the guy who's delicate. Give me a break. No man actually does that. That's a boy right there. He's acting like a boy. Yiz says it was back in the early MAGA days that she saw him. Last she heard from him, much different message back then. Elaine says, I think Nick Fuentes was the one who made him go off on whites. This particular person, who I don't know if I can name yet, solo activist for white well-being, Alex is here. Great to see you. Has told me about that. And I had seen some of that interview, but I could not see the person doing the interview. It was just endless questions. So maybe I didn't get to a point where he comes loose and yelled at Fuentes. But the part that I had seen, this guy is like this tiny square in the bottom of the whole image. And he's asking Fuentes questions, and Fuentes is just lying his ass off about every question. It's the most self-serving guy maybe ever. Dirty Fuentes. William is here. Chris is here. Trance is here. So let's keep going.
Have infiltrated your community. That is what has happened, all right? That is precisely what has happened, and it's having a negative impact, okay? We are now to the point where white Ignants within the Republican Party are crying over history. Listen to me. They're crying over history. Perfect example. I'm talking about Jack Posobiec, which the irony of it is that he's actually, his profile picture.
I think his name is Posobiec, but I just noticed something there. I'm not going to say anything yet. I just noticed something. Did you notice it? You want me to go back a click? Does anybody want me to go back 5 seconds and see if you notice it? Promethean Healing got the Dirty Fuentes reference.
Jack Street.
Listen to this.
Are crying.
Listen.
Over history. Listen to me. They're crying over history. Perfect.
Are you all getting it? Are you hearing it? Big time, this guy just revealed. Why do I was like set down on the wrong planet or something. How is this? How can I be this far ahead? Did y'all hear that?
Perfect example. I'm talking about Jack Posobiec, which the irony of it is that he's actually, his profile picture is him in Israel with an Israeli flag. But we'll put that to the side.
Okay, well, I actually, whatever Lucas is feeling right there, it feels like it's confusion to me as I see his face and like, what the hell are you doing? That I can agree with. So at least we found something right in the beginning to agree with. At least we found right in the beginning of this conversation, yes. Why in the hell is Posobiec in Israel? As far as I know, he's white. He's not Jewish. Is his wife Jewish? Why is he in Israel? Is it America first or somebody else first?
Nevertheless, you have this man, right, who tweets out a caption, and we all know his captions are meaningless, right? And just as he tried to slander Maz Touré. Now,
don't forget that I asked you all at that one segment, did you hear it? We'll see. If he goes down this track, we'll see. It'll be worth mentioning either way.
Now he's trying to slander this cartoon. He's trying to slander history. He's talking about how how the cartoon, and I'm going to play how it's talking against America, how it's treating you to hate America and the country.
Imagine paying money to Disney to teach our kids to hate themselves and hate their country
or whatnot. And it's like,
does anybody know what this cartoon is? What he's talking about here? I didn't see it. Melody Dawn is here. Great to see you. Does anybody know what it is? What was Posobiec referring to when he said the cartoon was teaching you to hate America? Did he mean white people? Posobiec?
What? What? It's so, his captions are so disconnected with the content that it's to the point where, like,
is it almost like you don't understand? If all of his content seems disconnected to you. Caleb says it's the Proud Family movie, but what's that? Super Chad showed up. Let's continue.
Did you mean to post this for this video, or is this for something else? Because in the video, I'm sure you guys have seen it. I'm not trying to get a copyright playing it, but in the video, it talks about Black American history, which, surprise, is American history. But as I told you guys, many of these white Ignants view American history as separate from Black history. They don't even want to teach.
He's like, here's the white guy. The white guy is what I just called him. Here's the black guy. I mean, the black guy on the screen. Can you find the only reason it looks like there's a black guy on the screen is because this really white guy is on the screen. Okay, so so this really black guy here, is going to tell us about this cartoon, I think, that Jack Posobiec had tweeted about, where none of his captions have to do anything with what he wrote. But you know what? Let's just, if this guy, maybe he changed big time, like Yiz is saying. So I'm not going to, I don't intend for my criticisms to apply to him personally. Maybe he's just an entertainer. But what he's saying as an entertainer, whatever, if he's just acting as a character, then the character is repulsively anti-white. But maybe his views can be changed. Like our solo actor is saying here, maybe his views, maybe he does seem like he could be persuaded to think something better than being totally anti-white. No W Guild said that corner of the eye look and delivery was hilarious. All right. Okay, Caleb, thank you for jumping in with these answers. Melody Dawn says, great to be here. Caleb says they revived an old cartoon about a black family that used to be on Disney Channel. Okay. So maybe this white guy here that we are reviewing, maybe this white guy here is not actually a really bad guy. We'll see though. I mean, he's this very anti-white so far, isn't it? Let's continue.
Case in point, DeSantis. They don't want their...
No, don't. What are you talking about? Stop. Finish your thought, for the love of God. Why are you going on to DeSantis? You haven't made a point yet. Sorry, I hate when speakers are like, I'm going to make this point, and then what about this? And you're like, no, your brain is not working. Continue.
As far as the white youth to actually learn history. They don't want them to learn black history because they believe to point DeSantis. Right. They don't want as far as their white youth.
The white youth to learn history.
To actually learn history. They don't want.
Okay. So what is he taking for granted there? This is a big one. He's not seeing it, because if he was seeing it, he wouldn't include it in his anti-white argument. The presupposition here, the unspoken premise, is that the history, the official history that he's referencing, he's saying Posobiec is wrong because history today, the official history today that supports him, is what he is using as his evidence of how correct, accurate, etc. he is. That means what about that history? He's anti-white, arguing an anti-white position. He's referencing regime level history. What does that tell you about that history? That it's anti-white, or he wouldn't reference it. And where is this history that he's referencing coming from? It's coming from the regime. So the people in power provide an interpretation of the past, that's called history, that serves anti-white arguments in the present. Oh, isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? He just told us that the system is anti-white, because the system is only going to provide a history to you that perpetuates itself, that further increases its power. It's not going to provide a history to you that's going to be detrimental. If you're inside the anti-white narrative and you're concluding that the system is being operated by white people for the benefit of white people, to exploit and harm non-white people for the benefit of white people the world over, then why would that system establish a history, a story of yesterday that would undermine, attack, erode, inhibit, weaken itself? Of course it wouldn't. He just admitted that the system is anti-white. Oh my God. Oh my God. You know very well he's not arguing that anti-whites run America for the benefit of anti-whites, because he's saying white people, they don't have anything to complain about. And so it's just being overly fragile and delicate. You're so delicate. These white people are so just delicate. They're so delicate. They have and then, by the way, he also throws in oh yeah, you're suffering record suicide, drug use, and biological white erasure. But you've got nothing to complain about, because the system is yours. The system is for you to run, except there's a history there, the official history. Who creates the official history, Lucas? Angels? Aliens? Who creates it, buddy? Does God himself come down and say, well, let me write the history books, and I'm going to tell the facts of what happened yesterday and the day before and the day before, even if it undermines those in power today? Seriously? Are you this thick? The people in power write the history, and they write the history to serve their power, the perpetuation of their power, the magnification of their power. That's who writes the history. That's where the official history comes from, Lucas. He's saying Ignats. I think he's actually being insulting to the black community. I think he's insulting the black community by using slang or jargon that you normally find in the black community, when a guy that has this many white guys inside of him really shouldn't be using the slang reserved for the black community. I'm having fun, but come on, this is ridiculous. I just obliterate. He is in dust. I have just turned him to dust in this conversation. The official history supports my argument, but that's not the people in charge. I'll just reference the official history.
Want them to learn black history because they believe that somehow it's going to cause them to have some type of, I don't know, some complex of some kind, right? Where they feel guilty. What is it called? White guilt. They feel that.
That's what they want you to feel. That is why, Lucas. That is why, buddy. I'll look to you because I know you'll end up watching us. That is why I call myself No White Guilt. We don't have any of it. I don't give a shit. I know what you're going to say. I know what's coming up, buddy. I know what's coming up. It's going to be all of the, oh, you remember when the United States practiced these drugs on non-white people? Not like they did that to white people too. Oh, and you remember when the United States had slavery? You remember? And nobody else has done that ever, right? Nobody else profited from slavery. I know that's coming. You know what, buddy? I got no white guilt. I don't give a about anything you're going to complain about from the past. Nothing. You're not going to victimize my people anymore. No more white people being victimized. White babies in wombs today. You want to feel white guilt over slavery. Not going to happen. And you know what he's going to do, folks? He's going to say, white people, you can get out of this. You could do better than this. All you got to do is be anti-white. All you've got to do is be anti-white, embrace all this anti-whiteism that says negative things about white people, and then you're fine. God, you can see this coming from 100 miles away. If it doesn't actually roll out that way, you know it could roll out that way, or it's likely to roll out that way. All right, let's proceed.
That's honestly why they believe they want to separate certain parts of history. That's the reason why.
And look at him look at him laughing like he has a point. He just, again, referencing official history. They want to separate pieces of history. Buddy. Oh my God. Okay. Let's continue. Yeah. If you want, folks, write no white guilt. If you got no white guilt, this is what an anti-white does. They want to reference things that were real or fabricated, totally imaginary or fictionalized from the past to justify victimizing you in the present. That's what an anti-white does. I got no white guilt. It's the most revolutionary thing that you can say. And if you're going to put it on a placard, if you're going to put it on a banner, if you're going to put it on a billboard, you got to add .org. So you send people to the right place so that they too can handle anti-whites this easily. This is what you want. Everybody writing no white guilt. Lucas, we don't got any white guilt, buddy. You can go ahead and reference the official history that demonizes us, you dumbass. You can go ahead and reference that all you want. We don't give a shit.
Because they think little white kids are going to grow up with white guilt or something. It's like they weren't slaves.
That's exactly what happens. And he knows it. He's clearly, look, this guy's he's not the best rhetorician, but he's at least a midwit and maybe a little bit better than a midwit. I don't know. Our activist has watched a bunch of his videos, so maybe he is a little bit better than a midwit. And therefore, I should say, he knows exactly what ends up happening when you teach it. Could you teach non-white children of any race? Let's pick a fictional one. Could you teach green non-white children that their people are responsible for something heinous in the world, releasing biological weapons that killed millions and millions, and think that those little green kids are going to be fine with that? What he's saying here is that the white kids won't have to feel white guilt as long as they're anti-white. But my friend, they do feel white guilt. That's why they become anti-white, dipshit. Darth is here. Everybody's saying no white guilt. Love it. All right, let's roll some more. This guy's probably a nice guy, though. You know, when he games and all, he's probably nice to the other gamers. I don't play video games. I'm an adult.
Slave owners. You weren't slave owners. So I'm like, what do you have guilt for? I mean,
Okay. He just said, let's see that again.
Little white kids are going to grow up with white guilt or something. It's like, because they think little white kids are going to grow up with white guilt or something. It's like, they weren't slave owners. You weren't slave owners. So I'm like, can we talk about the black crime rate in school? I mean, the black kids sitting there are not criminals. So can teachers talk about, I don't want to talk about the black crime rate. I don't care about data on different races. I just want to put an end to the victimization of white people. Can a professor at a school, can a teacher at a school talk to his or her classroom about the black crime rate today? They could also talk about the black crime rate 100 years ago if they wanted. They could also talk about black crime in Africa. The kids in the classroom, the little black kiddies in the classroom, they're not the ones committing the crime. So shouldn't they be fine with it? They're not the rapists. They're not the thieves. Of course, these anti-whites, this guy himself would say, no, that's not fair. You can't teach black kids about black crime rate, even if they're not the actual rapists or burglars or whatever it is. Jeez. This is all getting to an anti-white outcome, victimizing white people. That's example where you would see the double standard. But you don't stop on the double standard, right? We move through it to see that it's only superficially a double standard. You can talk about the crimes of white people from the past, and the little white kiddies today shouldn't feel bad because they weren't the actual ones committing the crimes. But you can't talk about the crime rate of this or that group because those little kiddies will feel bad about themselves, even though they're not the actual criminals. Superficially, it seems like a double standard, but in fact, it's not a double standard because they both serve an anti-white outcome. Boom, boom. Can you feel that? Where's that from? Some comedy movie. What do you have guilt for? I mean, I can think of a few things. I mean, currently, but that's besides the point. I'm just. Oh, okay, so what can the white kids feel guilt for? He said he can think of a few things. I mean, owners. You weren't slave owners. So I'm like, what do you have guilt for? I mean, I can think of a few things. I mean, currently, but that's what an anti-white. Come on. The kind of brainless, vapid, insipid idiots that must consume this content. How do they get through the day? It's nothing but gerbils. It's nothing but like hamster brains. Besides the point, I'm just saying. But nevertheless, right? This is where it leads us. Okay, because in the cartoon, Ace Ventura, Lunder's awesome. It was Ace Ventura. Can you feel that? When he makes his point, when he solves the case or whatever. Can you feel that? Maybe that's what I should do for the rest of this one, like the Ace Ventura. That would be cool if I could remember some more of that movie. I can't right now. So you had the can feel that. You had the yes, Satan. What else? We'll see if any more comes back to me. It's been a very long time. A very long time. But yeah, Anna's laughing about the eye slit on him. Maybe it's a signal. It shows off more of that very light colored skin of his. So maybe he's kind of signaling to all the white guys that are in him from the past. Proud family. And you know, I don't care anything about the Proud family, especially when they went and injected that bushy propaganda in an all-American, Black American cartoon. But that's that. Nevertheless, in this clip, it's they're doing, it seems to be some type of talent show, And they're talking about how slaves built this country. And
he's a proud American there with the inverted stars and stripes. But did he just say slaves built the country?
Talking about, but that's that. Nevertheless, in this clip, it's they're doing, it seems to be some type of talent show, and they're talking about how slaves built this country, and they're talking about the contributions that Black Americans gave to this country, in addition to, as far as talking on reparations, right? Even brings up 40 acres and a mule, right? It goes through all this history, and these Ignants are so triggered that I kid you not,
slaves built the country. Okay. How many of the other Americas are there in Africa? How many? How about in the islands, the Caribbean islands? How about there? They just built America. They got special here when they walked on the soil here. Something special about the soil. They're like, boom, here's the country. All right. Elaine says he just brushes over the anti-white propaganda part, Jason. Yeah. Slaves built the country. This is why honestly, there are, it makes it tough. It makes it really tough to have if you're going to have more than one race in a country, you absolutely need the main group, the host group, if you will. You absolutely have to have, they have to have a deep pride in themselves. And you saw in the United States, for example, how even with deep pride, we went on, and this happened elsewhere as well. It happened in Canada, where we defeated foes, the American Indians, Canadian Indians, if you will, or the Indians of America, that we retained names, and we gave, long before there was like hard anti-whiteism pushing that. I mean, it was there, but it wasn't these names being retained for locations and honoring of different individuals. That was done to a larger degree back then, out of the goodness of the heart, the humility, the heart of the victors. And if you have a proud establishing stock, then there can't be this sort of friction of competition. And contributors from other races can be recognized as individuals who contributed rather than a competing race, if you will. But that is a very difficult thing. They absolutely have to be numerically diffident, these populations. The Black population in the United States is the exact opposite of that. They have numerical courage. And so you have this competition then of narratives. And when you have of historical narratives, and each group is going to, except for the white race, is going to want the narrative to serve. That's what history does, is it serves the living. The past is dead. They're ghosts in cemeteries. History, the way it's supposed to work, serves the living. And it doesn't take a lot of intelligence for somebody to conclude that without even really knowing the mechanics of it. So it's just natural. You'll see the Asian community in the United States, in Canada, and elsewhere that are outside of Asia will produce more and more, and will spotlight more and more. Hispanics will do the same thing, produce more and more, spotlight more and more events from history that empower their people today in various ways, giving them a context, giving them a continuity through time of improving and growing and becoming better. Those things necessarily have to compete if you don't have a service to a establishing stock. And so that's what ends up happening in the West today. So what he's saying here is he's attempting to make the claim because it serves, in his mind, not in the minds of all Black people by any means, in his mind, claiming that America was built by slaves serves this insecurity that he clearly has with his blackness and the history that he looks back upon, and obviously others who enjoy his content feel the same way. That necessarily has to detract from, it's a zero-sum game. You can't say that slavery built the United States and have anything left over for the 90+%, means 95% of the population, or whatever, when there was when the United States had slavery constituted on the soil, and then remain 90+% white. In my opinion, check it out for yourself. Up until the Immigration Act in the 60s of the United States, you don't have anything left over for those people. Did nothing then. So it's a zero-sum. It ends up being a zero-sum game. Now, if we were, and I'll get right back to this right now, if white people were proud in the United States and we said, no, we're not going to have any of this shit. No, you're not going to claim that the country was built by slavery. That's, horseshit. And we said, okay, here's the actual history. Of course, the history would be serving our living today. We would be able to, in our humility, in our goodness, in our magnanimity, we would be able to look at the contributions of others, because there have been wonderful contributions to the United States by Black people. There are wonderful throughout history, and including today, just like there are wonderful contributions from every other race in the United States to the United States. We'd be able to look at these contributions and recognize them and these individuals as contributors to the great country that we call the United States. But we can't have a great country called the United States, because it can't have a history. It can't have a single history. It can't have a people that started it and is the main progenitors and creators and propagators of the United States. You can't have that because of anti-whiteism. So instead, you have competing races, and they compete for a larger and larger share of the historical pie. And today you can see it's almost all been white erased, to the point where you have Afrocentrism at universities that will claim things like that Black people built Egypt and Black people built Greece and much more. And I'm sure he ascribes to that too.
Did you not? You had Fox News saying that it was anti-white propaganda. Oh. Bruh.
I love it. Let's look back at that. Let's see what that.
Fox News saying that it was anti-white.
Disney slammed for anti-white propaganda in The Proud Family reboot. So what do they say in it that makes it anti-white? Does anybody know? That's awesome. And you all may take a bow, who have been working to spread anti-white, anti-whiteism, Western kind, Westman, anti-white narrative, white erasure. You all may take a bow. That's why Fox News used anti-white. No other reason. It's because of you. Remember that. It's what this community is doing and has been doing.
Propaganda. Bruh.
Bruh. Bruh.
If your business kept on employees through the pandemic.
What the hell? He thinks it's totally hilarious. Bruh.
I don't get it every single time. Every single time they snitch on themselves. Now, throughout that entire clip, not one mention of a white person. Not one mention. They mention.
Okay. So apparently, correct me if I'm wrong, something about slavery being what built America. And then he is saying with this, they snitched on themselves. He's saying that Fox News revealed that they are white supremacists because they thought it was anti-white to say that Black slaves built the country. What an ignoramus this guy is. What an asinine argument that is. It's totally illogical. He's beginning with a presumption that he hasn't proven yet. And I'm not going to allow him to move forward in the argument
as though I accept this precept that the country is built by black slaves, and that to disagree with that ipso facto makes you a white supremacist. It's just factually wrong, but it is an affront to all of the white people who built the country. And it's also an affront to the non-white people who contributed to the building of the country. Can you believe how dumb do you have to be in a country and you have 90+% of it is white and the remainder is made up of all the other races, blacks, Jews, Asians, Hispanics, and say in this particular case that blacks built the country? How'd they do that? Why didn't they do it anywhere else? Time Traveler's pointing out that he's laughing. Lucas is laughing because he's afraid. I agree. It's bluster. It's being bumptious. By being bumptious, he's hoping to sort of beat you up with his ridicule and his laughter, rather than having to make solid arguments that follow reason, logic, and evidence. Maybe that's the reason they didn't build America and Africa.
Mentioned white supremacy, right? That's what they mentioned. Now I want you to think what they mentioned: white supremacy, right? That's what they mentioned. Now I want you to think what Fox News is admitting. They are admitting that they just put out a blanket statement on all white people that they are in fact, as far as
find the word, buddy. Find the word.
I guess agents of white supremacy, or at least their audience. That's what Fox News just put out.
No, that's not what they said at all. That's a preposterous conclusion.
Because they're talking about white supremacists. And we all know not every white person is a white supremacist, but Fox News believes they have aligned white supremacy with all white people, especially in their audience. That's what they have done.
They absolutely did not do that. Not even remotely.
Is that not crazy? It's insane.
It's crazy to conclude that, Lucas.
Because a hit dog hollers, right? A hit dog hollers. And every single time you bring up history.
You know, any minute now, you're going to hear his mother yelling from upstairs. Shut it up, Lucas. I'm trying to sleep.
That is American history that they don't like.
Oh, there you have it.
It's either CRT, it's either anti-white racism.
Okay. Was that right? He is referencing establishment history as the proof of his anti-white position. And he's saying, and then they're complaining about the history that they don't like. Well, I guess we have to say just very briefly that, again, history, what happened yesterday and the days before, the official narrative, that's what we say, that the official narrative of the West is an anti-white narrative, serves the arguments of anti-whites. And so Lucas should be able to put two and two together. Somebody get out that thing you remember from Sesame Street. It's like one apple, two apples, or no, one apple and then another apple makes two apples. That the establishment is anti-white if it supports your arguments everywhere you go. You're referencing the regime, the official narrative.
It's something, right? Or it's
Randall says he's ignorant. He's ignorant. This guy's ignorant.
Teaching you to hate the country. And it's like, what? What are you talking about? You mean teaching kids about slavery and what happened and the truth of this country? That's
the truth of the country.
Teaching them to hate the country?
Where's that come from? Again, I mean, it really just gets under my skin. This referencing history as though it were given by God himself, as though it were given by aliens that were just casual, ice cold, sang-froid observers of what went on planet Earth. And they're like, no, we don't care either way. And there it is. There you have your history now, you little earthlings. For God's sakes, how asinine.
That be teaching them the opposite, right? Wouldn't that in fact be teaching them, hey, to be progressive, to be against the system?
Okay, there you, again, I'm right. Holy shit, Lucas. How many times are you going to prove me right? I'm going to be up when I get done with this stream. I'm never going to be able to take a shower again because I'm going to walk on water everywhere I go. This guy keeps proving me right. How will I ever take a swim in the ocean?
Just like,
look,
you mean
what did I say?
Teaching kids.
What did I say? Much earlier, I said that he will give you, or likely to give you, the way out, which is that you can be anti-white. Then you're not a white supremacist. You're not an ignorant white person. As long as you're anti-white. Remember, it was about the slavery. Why would they feel white guilt? They can be anti-white and then be against this white system.
Kids about slavery and what happened and the truth of this country. That's teaching them to hate the country. Wouldn't that in fact be teaching them the opposite, right? Wouldn't that in fact be...
What are the names that anti-whites use for their beliefs?
Teaching them, hey, to be progressive, to be against the system, just like your 1776, just like how you got here in this country. Because if you just all kowtowed and bent over, then none of this would have been here.
How did we get here in this country? Are you going to leave that out? Was it black slaves? How did we get here in this country? Who started this country? Lucas? Who made America? Lucas? How did it get started?
So isn't it in fact teaching them the opposite? Isn't it in fact teaching them to learn from the errors of their forefathers and their ancestors?
Holy fuck. Seriously. How does this guy pretend to be impartial at all? This is ridiculous. I had him nailed from the very beginning.
Isn't that?
I had him nailed from the very beginning. It's not a big shocker because a lot of white guys are in him, as you can see. Just look at his facial features and that skin tone and the beard. A lot of white guys in this guy. I had him nailed from the very beginning. White kids, you weren't a slave owner. Why should you feel white guilt? You weren't a slave owner. And then your forefathers, your people who did this, white kids. What a piece of shit he is. What an absolute piece of shit. This is the typical, please be learning from this. Please be learning. Do you remember just a little bit ago, he said the white kids, they shouldn't feel bad about this because they weren't slave owners. They didn't buy slaves. They didn't beat slaves in America. And now he's saying that you and white kids, your forefathers did this, white kids. You have to learn to make amends for this. Lucas, dumbass, that's called forcing them to feel guilt. If you're making them feel like they are guilty for that, for specifically what their forefathers and their founders did, that's saying that they're guilty. That makes them feel guilt. So you claiming a moment ago that they shouldn't feel white guilt and laughing your ass off like that was the most ridiculous thing in the world while you're actually doing that just demonstrates that you're an anti-white turd. That's all it demonstrates. You should learn from this, Lucas. This is not a healthy place to be, man.
What it should be teaching them? Isn't that the lesson of the story? These Ignants are so sensitive to history, okay, that isn't their history, and that's why they whitewash history. That's why they remove certain parts, and certain parts that they can't remove.
We're not going to hit upon the history thing anymore. I've said it enough. But apparently this guy is happy to use the regime's history as the official thing that really happened.
Well, they just reframe it, right? Well, they weren't slaves. They were immigrants. Well, you have to understand, they enjoyed it here. They loved, working in the field, okay? It was actually their idea.
No one has ever called, I've never heard anybody call slaves, white, black, or Indian, immigrants.
To pick cotton. We were just like,
well, yeah. Franklin hit it fast. Straw man. Exactly.
Hey, what do y'all want to do? Hey, we want to pick cotton. I kid you not. That's what they're attempting to do. They are attempting to completely erase us from this planet.
Please say black erasure. They're attempting to erase black people from the planet. Nobody, your ancestors that were fucking white people are the ones that are trying to erase you from the planet. That's what happened. A shit ton of your ancestors that were fucking white people that were throwing themselves on their backs and having sex with white people. That's who it was. We're trying to erase you from the planet. Can you feel it? Can you feel that? Boom. Deep burn on this guy. And as I understand, it is a deep burn. It is a very deep burn, as I understand. So, yeah, Lucas, trying to erase you from the planet. And of course, the reality is you look out into the world, black males are what, 6% of the population in the United States. And do you ever go a single day without like half of every advertisement or more being black males? Every TV commercial, it's almost on every TV commercial. It's at billboards, everywhere you go, magazine cover, everywhere you go, it's black male. 6% of the population. And what percentage of that is actually serving time? So you have to extract that because those, and then what percentage of that is in old folks' homes? It's because they can't be on the magazines and billboard cover. So you really just keep shrinking. What percentage of that 6% as well are too sick, invalid, they can't go out? So they can't be on the magazine cover. So you're talking about, I mean, an ungodly amount of bending over backwards for black males to prop them up and put them everywhere. And we're trying to erase them. I mean, this is somebody that making this kind of argument in a healthy society, they would be invited to put on a very tight white jacket and to go somewhere where they can't hurt themselves anymore.
That's what they are attempting to do. And I do not mean that lightly. Okay. I do not mean that lightly. Everything police brutality to mass incarceration to the absolute garbage.
What? God.
Hey, we want to pick cotton. I kid you not. That's what they're.
I kid you not. I kid you not. Then white people, you know what they said? They said it was like a 5-star resort for the slaves. They said, you want to pick cotton? And they all said, hell yeah, we want to pick cotton. Actually, you know what? That just reminded me of the stand-up comedian many years ago. And I couldn't actually stand, unfortunately, he'd used the F word too much. It was just ridiculous and too much vulgarity. But there was one joke he told that I was able to catch before having to turn it off every single time, where he talked about talking to black people today, but this was actually like back in the 70s. And they said things like, fuck, if I would pick any cotton, I wouldn't put up with any of that. And this stand-up comedian, black guy, said, yeah, I'm sure the first one said that. I'm sure the first black guy that got off the boat said that. And then everyone after that, they were like, no worries. I'll take care of it. His joke, not mine. I'm just retelling a story. His name was Eddie Murphy.
They're attempting to do. They are attempting to completely erase us from this planet.
Tell us how.
That's what they are attempting to do. And I do not mean that lightly.
No?
Okay. I do not mean that lightly.
Okay,
everything police brutality.
Oh, police brutality. That only happens to black people. And because they're always being totally submissive to the law, doesn't happen to any other group of people. Or maybe it's because when white people are beat to death, nobody shows that, nobody cares because we've been dehumanized. But what else do we have? Police brutality, mass incarceration. You shouldn't incarcerate people who break the law. The problem is putting them in jail. People who break the law, irrespective of their race, should not be put in jail because the mass incarceration is a bad thing.
To mass incarceration, to the absolute garbage school systems that.
What? I'm sorry. What? The garbage school systems? No. I just got done talking about that one. Where was it? The school that everybody's talking about recently. But you've seen these over the years. I mean, there was one, I think, in like Arkansas back in like the 60s or something that had like Greco-Roman statues in it. The students received a fraction per student of the money that goes to these schools, which, by the way, I got to get to, there's so many layers here. A fraction of the money. And today, this school, wherever it is, Nebraska, Kansas, wherever it is, Kentucky, wherever it is, where the school has like 6,000 students, 7,000 students, no crime, no fights, totally clean, pristine as all hell. And they receive less than half the money per student that schools in Washington, D.C. and New York City that are all non-white get per student. And those schools are trash. So what's the problem? Is it the money? But here's the thing I really have to point out. Do you notice what he's saying here? He's saying this is what is done to us. This is this. We have no agency. There's no burden upon us to improve this. Put into our own system, put into our own environment. His promise from elsewhere is that we make America, even when we are chattel. We make America. That's the promise. That's this what we do. But then when they're put in their own schools, it's what you're doing to us. You put us in garbage schools. Wait, you mean it's not what you've done to the school? It's not what the people specifically in that area have done to the school. It's what the white race is doing to you. I thought you make Americas. I thought you make Western civilization. And so it's the government, which, by the way, he cites the government's history for proof of his anti-white positions. And then he'll go back and say, oh, no, I'm in the anti-white narrative. And so the government is run and controlled by white people for the benefit of white people. So they put non-white people, or in particular black people, in garbage schools. And then they put us in jail. So that's the system. That's how they're keeping them down, to prevent them from making Americas. Well, they made America while they were chattel. So why can't they overcome the incarceration and the garbage schools that they're just forced by white people to be in? And by the way, why don't you go ahead and cite all of the laws and rules and etc. that forces black people to be in these specific terrible schools? Why don't you go ahead and, where the white people have said, no, you can't go to the white schools. You can't go to these schools. You can't go to those schools. You've got to only go to that school. I want you to go ahead and cite it. Oh, you can't because you're a lying POS. Here's the other thing. Who gave you the school? Did you build it? Did you build that school? Did you and a bunch of other black people build that school? Or how about that neighborhood you live in? Did a bunch of white people who built America build that school and hand it over to you? And then what it's become is what you did to it. Those schools that are run by you, that you call garbage schools now, that are run by black people who are probably, and the problem is that they're anti-white. The problem is not that they're black, because I can guarantee you this: if you had black people who were hardcore, like lovers of Western civilization, they would be beating the shit out of disobedience. It would be, there would be no theft. There would be no fights. They wouldn't tolerate one iota. It is because those schools have been white erased of Western civilization. It's because things like codes and norms and expectations of behavior and laws, etc., are said to be white things. And so they don't have to be abided by. Things like getting proper scores on tests, having to achieve goals to move on to the next grade. Those are all things that white people expect. And so you are just oppressing all of these non-white people. So I guarantee you, we could probably look across the United States. It's not going to be highlighted by people like this, but find a school that's predominantly black, run by black people that aren't anti-white, that are making a hell of a lot better school than the ones that this guy wants to cite, where they want to white erase all of the norms and expectations of behavior
that they have our socioeconomically disadvantaged neighborhoods in.
So How did those neighborhoods get economically disadvantaged? It was like I was talking about the other day. How does an area become populated by a non-white race? They enclave. They go to where nobody is prevented from living anywhere. They go to where they feel comfortable. It's totally normal. Up to them. It's their freedom to do so. No one is forcing. This is anti-white. This is an anti-white narrative. And yet, remember, he references the history of that regime to prove his anti-white positions, but continues to think that white people are in charge of that regime for the benefit of white people, and laugh at you and call you fragile. You're just too dainty to hear the truth.
Okay, that fund them or lack thereof to now the history books. That is what they are attempting to do. Listen, it's not a game. Okay, their fragility, it's humorous, but it's also lethal. It's also dangerous if we do not speak up. We do not get into this political game.
Stephanie Love says he will just lie and say slaves built the school. Of course. Great to see you here too. Axiom is here. Hello to you. Lacey says they call that white supremacy. Yeah, precisely. Let me take a quick look at what y'all are saying. And we're a little more than halfway through. And let me just quickly look here. Actually, let me roll a little bit more tape. Sam says, black guy on YouTube, can't remember his channel now, but I will finally get back to you. And he absolutely tears this twerp a new one every time he puts out his nonsense. Oh, cool. Yeah. Let me know.
Hey, if we do not get in this political hustle, it is game over because the politics dictate everything. Y'all are getting RICO charges off of rap lyrics, okay? So the politics, these laws.
RICO charges off of rap lyrics. There had to be more there. Persona says you should check out his video he made responding to Charlie Chione. I'll have to do that.
At governments, these regulations, they are extremely important from the state, local, all the way up to the federal, okay? It's extremely important that we get in this and we give some pushback to these narratives. Because if one person or the group of Ignants are only giving one narrative, then they will vote accordingly. And more often than not, you're probably...
So, and what is he saying? What is he talking about narrative? White people saying, tired of our victimization, even really tepidly, and without pointing out that it's white people being victimized. He's mad about white people and probably non-white people on Fox who object to systems in school, all the way down to kindergarten, all the way up through university, that are making derogatory claims about the United States, founded in evil and all of this kind of garbage, and they object to it. But those claims, those systems, those programs, all of them anti-white, they serve to arrive at anti-white outcomes. So if someone, even unwittingly, even a black person who gets in the way for their own reasons, they love America, say, they want free speech, and they don't want, they think this is going to arrive at a restriction of speech. This guy right here is going to call them an ignant that wants white supremacy. What does that tell you about the outcome he wants? Everything you need to know. It hurts to be this good. I got to tell you, to be this much more intelligent than the other mortals around you. It hurts to be this good. You're getting in the way of my outcome. Oh, yeah? Well, you just told me what your outcome was then, buddy. Lynn says, will you appear on Lord Goodhair's show? James Hake. Oh, that's funny. Of course. If he reaches out to me, tell him to reach out. Morb says the ratio on his video is laughable. Oh, I didn't even see. Can you see how many negative downvotes he's gotten? Elaine says they supposedly built America, but they're incapable of maintaining. Well, All right, let's roll.
Probably outnumbered by the Ignants. So we need to sway some of the Ignants. Whether you like it or not, that's what needs to happen. So that we can get some of these laws passed on our behalf, which would be beneficial to the country as a whole.
That's going to be beneficial to be anti-white. That is the anti-white moral imperative, which is why I realized a long time ago that we had to have a moral imperative to unite us against it. You can't make arguments against a moral imperative from data. You can't make appeals to history, as you can see. Your history is just going to be revisionist history because the regime is anti-white. People like this will cite the regime's history, even while saying that the regime is white supremacist. You can only combat it with another moral imperative, anti-whiteism.
But you have to understand there's a severe anti-black racist propaganda with the right.
Spiritual Harmony says, I have no white guilt. Amen. Lunder says, funny enough, that's another Ace Ventura gag. Damn, I'm good. Can you feel it? Awesome. There's a downvote browser on add-on. Oh, okay, cool. He has, let's see, he has over 1.7 likes and over 1.7 thousand likes, 3,000 dislikes. Okay, let's keep rolling.
Right. And they are trying to foment hatred against us by galvanizing them to believe that they are in fact victims.
So do you see there how he's actually, not claiming that he would have come up with this on his own. This is a very powerful part of anti-whiteism that is very easy to pick up. But for some reason, white people, aside from you all here, are too dumb to get it, or they're too wedded to antiquated and useless and failed vehicles and ideologies and also personalities, quite frankly. Content creators, organization leaders that would be better as maybe a few rungs down from being the leader, the person in charge, because they clearly don't have the character or make the intelligent or intelligible decisions. What did he just do there? Let's just step back real quickly. So we can learn from it.
And they are trying to foment hatred against us by galvanizing them to believe that they are in fact victims.
So he's pointing out that the identifying us as victims of their aggression gives us the power to resist. The anti-whites, without being victimized, which is why they have all of these privilege groups that they call victim groups, are able to experience the power of victimhood and thereby ignite a legitimate response to victimhood in individual advocates. So they're able to get out in the streets. They're able to be fanatic. They're able to be crazy. They're able to break the law on the streets, break the law in the boardroom, break the law in the mayor's office, break the law in the seat of the White House. That's how this works. And I've been trying to explain this for at least 2 decades and just continually ignored by so many white people out there. Just sometimes I just wonder that in some ways, white people are, so many of us are just not, the lights are not all on upstairs. Lights are let me continue.
I want you to understand this. The right, all these political pundits, Fox News, Tucker Carlson, all this entertainment is trying to make these white Ignants believe that they're being attacked, that they're being victims. And
you don't have to attempt to make white people believe that we're being victimized. Every one of us can see it. Our whole lives are ruined because of anti-whiteism, and we don't get to live again. He would like to prevent us from coming together in our collective defense against our victimization with the proper concepts, with the proper dialectics. That's what he wants to prevent. Why? Because he's got a really good thing going right now, a really good thing going with anti-whiteism.
And we see what happened on January 6th when they believe that. So we have got to get in.
You see what happens when they believe. They're not even at January 6th. They weren't even, it was like this incipient or implicit. If we had been able to get to more people, that would have been completely different and genuinely, truly revolutionary. On Patriots Day, which is what I named it, the day the patriot lost his innocence. Talk about it that way forevermore. Don't let anybody else come in after the fact, like a dirty Fuentes calling it Patriot Day or whatever. These people need to stop stealing from this community. They need to, white people need to learn again, like non-white people clearly understand that are anti-white, that you need to submit to what is successful. Stop trying to steal. We got Twitter accounts and else out there trying to take a little bit of what we do here and then steal it and go do something else with it. You submit to what works, what is successful, and to the individuals that are leading that charge. If not, you're just demonstrating that you're garbage. You're just demonstrating that you're a garbage human being. I mean, this is a reality.
Here, we got to get in this political game and even out the playing field. And then you have Candace Owens, or Candace Owens, as I call her, who comes out and tries to say, well, you know.
Did he just use a hardcore racial epithet on Candace? I don't like Candace Owens, but how is his channel still there? He just used a hardcore. I absolutely reject, disavow. I'm not going back. I don't want to hear that again. That was foul language he just used. I am watching this video for the purpose of criticizing it and critiquing it for educational and entertainment purposes. That's despicable. I did not know that was coming. And technically, I mean, that's technically a white guy saying that to her. Let's be serious.
This country was built by people who built the machine.
Come on, get it, man, get it. That word's out there. It's that people did what?
Machines and whatnot.
The what?
People that built
who built the machines and whatnot.
And the people that built America were those that were able to come up with those machines, which thrust us into the Industrial Revolution.
Right.
Well, both of those are, you know, kind of wrong. America was built, established, a genuine country and nation before the Industrial Revolution. If she were talking specifically about a phase of the building of America and just using that built America colloquially for a particular discussion, that's one thing. But you couldn't possibly. But of course, the machines. Who were making the machines? Were they shipping them out of countries in Asia? Were they shipping them out of countries in the Middle East? Were they shipping them out of countries in Africa or kingdoms in Africa or whatever? No, they were being made in the West.
Once again, they're so dishonest. And
he's actually disagreeing with her on this.
It goes to the point of, well, Candace, who do you think was working in those industries, huh? Who do you think?
Is he brain damaged? Does he have brain damage? Is he really brain damaged? Is this what happens when you play too many video games? Candace Owens made a point somewhere about the people who built the machines were the ones who built America. And he just asked the classroom and the audience, who do you think were in the industries? Is he about to seriously suggest that black people invented the machinery and ran the factories during the Industrial Revolution?
That many of the workers comprised of. Okay. How do you think?
I guess so. With that silence, I guess he was implying or stating with that silence, and then kind of like his little, almost like a little effeminate thing. Okay. Maybe that thing about white guys being in him is a little bit more accurate now. But so his position is that black people in America built and what percentage of black people were actually in of the country during the pre-industrial revolution and industrial revolution. So they built the machinery of the Industrial Revolution, and they then peopled the factories. That is some fantastic bullshit. Is he a writer for that movie of that space level civilization in Africa?
They even got the money to build those manufacturers. Huh? What do you think?
What?
You think that many of the workers comprised of? Okay.
The workers because they were black.
Okay. How do you think they even got the money to build those manufacturers?
Don't do it. Don't.
Where do you think that money came from?
It.
Came from slave labor.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. All right. So this is we got to have a little, we'll make it brief, education here. How long have I been? God, yeah, I want to wrap it up. Not just yet. We're getting there, but he just claimed that the money to build the machinery and well, first of all, the machinery in the factories were done by black people. It was his claim. And then he said the money to pay for the factories and the machinery came from slavery in America. There's so many levels that my brain just instantly were like, unfortunately, I could talk for so long. I got to figure which ones would be maybe the most entertaining or useful to you. First of all, I guess I'll do this one. I wonder how many factories you could build with your Confederate notes. I wonder how many. Come on, Lucas, pick the phone up, give me a call. With that Confederate currency, I want to know how many factories you could build. Because almost all of the slavery was in the southern states, which seceded and had their own tender. They had their own currency. And when they lost the war, it was worth nothing. So I want to know, bro. Come on, bruh. How many Confederate notes does it take to build a factory? But it goes much deeper than that, of course. The reality is, when it comes to money, is that it's an invention of the human mind. What is it, and what does money represent or buy in a system? It buys ingenuity. It buys creativity. It buys industry of the population. If you don't have the industry, ingenuity, creativity, no amount of money in the world can make it happen, bruh. No amount. You could go to places in this world right now, I won't name them, but you could probably figure out which ones on your own. And you could bring all the cash dollars in the world, and you could pay all you want for somebody to invent things that don't exist, like machinery during the Industrial Revolution, and it's not there. So money is not the thing that holds the value. It's what we trade, bruh. Maybe you don't understand how money works. Not only that, but the currency has been devalued and revalued numerous times. It's actually been changed. The currency in the United States and what it's based on has changed many times. Now it's based on killing you if you don't use it. So slavery didn't build shit. It didn't pay for shit, you dumbass. If you weren't so fucking stupid, you would be embarrassed by that comment. Of course, if slavery and the profits from slavery built Western civilization, then y'all would have built Western civilization all over Africa, because slavery is practiced all over Africa. The Arabs would have built Western civilization all over Arabia. The Asians would have built Western civilization all over Asia. Why don't you see so many blacks in Asia and the Middle East? Well, it's because they gelded them when they came in. They didn't want y'all reproducing. White people were a little nicer, but we're not going to get a thank you. So money and slavery, having slaves and persecuting people does not create Western civilization. End of conversation. I feel like more has to be said about where value is in the world. It's not in the dollars. What creates the value in a unit of currency? You absolute numbskull. God damn it. This argument is this is a midget wit argument that he has adopted from the anti-white narrative. If we just had the money, we would build all the same. We would build a Wakanda in a minute if we just had the money. Fuck off. I mean, it's how do you deal with people that are this stupid? And the sad thing is, for his audience, this is what smart looks like to them.
Candace, that's where it came from. They're so deceitful, they're so dishonest, and it's extremely important that us as a people, we know our history, because they will omit certain factors, okay, omit certain key points in history.
He's chasing words around in his head. I'm telling you, gaming might not be good for you. Or maybe he watches a lot of pornography. I don't know. Something's not right.
In order to try and frame it to benefit and bolster their narrative, which is a false narrative, is an anti-black narrative that they...
You are welcome. What did I say earlier? This guy, if he wasn't so anti-white, I'd love him. He's proving me right so many times. He was like the other guy. How many times can I get proven right? How many times in the middle of a review? Does this happen to anybody else you watch that do reviews? You take this information and use it in your life. In fact, you better, because if I'm sitting here spending my time doing this, something good better be coming out of it.
They constantly keep promoting. You think that we're free, and this is something that the video says, and that we're not free. We're still in a fight for our freedom. We're
anti-white narrative. It's forever. I was 12 years old in junior high school when I figured this out, and I told the kids, you got to read Crucible, my book. I told the kids there, I said, look, what they're teaching us is a narrative. It's just a story. And in this story, we are the bad guys. And the white kids who came before us in this story were the bad guys. And the white kids after us and those after them and those after them will be the bad guys. Am I right? I was in junior high school a long time ago. And the white kids there at that exact same facility, the exact same school, are even more so the villains. They've had more villainy heaped upon them than even we had back then. It's a story. It's the anti-white narrative. It's why we say you have to get out of the anti-white narrative and into our story. He doesn't want you there because when you are there, you have collective defense to what he wants to do to you, to what he and his followers want to do to you. Despicable. And I tell you, the thing that he hates most is when non-white people, he hates white people coming together against anti-whiteism, but he'll hate even more. Like he would hate Sharika to the end of the world for saying that she objects to anti-whiteism and sympathizes with us. He would hate her to the ends of time. He would cheat on her. He would beat her. Because why? Because she's not being loyal to his black power advocacy. Keep harming the white man. Keep harming a Western civilization. It's going to end up real good for everybody here. We can see how good it's ending up. Every day, it's worse for everybody.
Still in a fight for our autonomy. We're still in a fight for our humanity. You'd like to think that we've made some.
Especially when this comes from a guy who's claiming to be black, could that be any more insulting to a white person? We have nothing but their humanity shoved down our throats. our entire lives, while our humanity is absolutely deleted. There ain't no white life that matters. It doesn't matter how young, how small the little white girl is that is being gang stomped by anti-whites. The news is not going to make it into a victimization of a white person and the entire white race. You have no humanity, white race. This guy's worried about their humanity. Whole cities are allowed to burn. Hundreds of cities where, if that happened or not, I don't know. Check it out for yourself. Several summers ago, because of the humanity here. For some drug-addled, pregnant woman beating individual, they're allowed to. You know what they would do if white people got out there and started doing that? They would machine gun us. Do you know how I know they would? Because that's what they've done before. Take a look at the bonus marchers after World War I. So whose humanity matters? This fucking prick. Cool Papa J Magic says, please put the 9 words on a shirt. Absolutely will, man. I have to get to I'm going to do this. I'm going to get to the shirts. We'll put the 9 words on the shirt, and then you all can wear that out. With, of course, as Franklin saying, nowhiteguilt.org.
Progress, but unfortunately, unfortunate as that may seem, is that we really haven't. Okay, instead of one way, they've taken a different route to try and attack us. Instead of, in some cases, overtly calling us, pejoratives or overtly displaying racism, they've now.
He just called an actual black woman by a pejorative, by a racial epithet. Is this what he looks like when he's high on pot? I don't mean to do that to anybody ever, where it stops and it's every single person on planet Earth. You got a video running, you're going to be like, one eye is half blinking, the other one's half or closed or almost closed, and it just happens. But he probably does pot. I mean, I'm just speculating. I don't know for sure, but it looks like a high look. Escape says if the lexicon was making, in other words, our lexicon was making a ton of money, he would start using our lexicon. It's not impossible. There's so many grifters. And I am how many people, legitimately, I want to ask you, I'm not saying I'm the only one, but there aren't many others out there that don't have FU money to some degree. I don't have a pot to piss in. And I stick to my principles. Even when all of those people on PWR were attacking and all of those lies and then everybody tolerating the liars and the people who are supposed to be friends saying, oh, you should just put up with it, Jason, because it really doesn't mean anything as long as he's able to continue goose stepping. Fuck you. I put up with all of that to stay with my principles, to stay with my morality, and to continue to serving you all honestly with white well-being. You all watch that firsthand. You also watch firsthand as content creators, organization leaders in the white sympathetic sphere, implicit and explicit, will flip-flop whichever way they have to for the dollars and cents. It is a mean, vicious, disgusting world that people who can have no integrity and can stab good folks in the back are the ones that end up with the most money. They're the ones who end up with the best lives and the ones who, as they grow in their organization or popularity, serve themselves even more and more. Whereas you can see firsthand with everything that I do here that it's all service to you. Lunder says he reported the video for using an anti-Asian slur. Oh, wow. I'll have to watch that. No white guilt is a force to be reckoned with, says Cool Papa J Magic. Thank you.
I've done it through the history books. They now have done it through the legal system. They now have done it through, the redistricting of our neighborhoods. That's what they have done.
The redistricting. Remember, we just talked about redlining. It's the people who were victimized were white people who had real estate agents who went to them and said, non-white person moved in the neighborhood, you better sell quickly so that I can get that commission. So their targets and their victims were white people, but that's never talked about, ever. They get white people to sell their homes for less than they're worth so they can get out quick. And the real estate agent walks away with money he never would have had, or she never would have had. And they flipped it 180 degrees. It was the victimization of the non-white people who were enclaving, who wanted to live amongst each other, not the white people who were being forced out for less than the value of their homes and their properties.
The funny part, just to end this video with, the funny part is, you want to know who's talking about who built this country? Trump. That's
what now?
Trump. That's what they have done. The funny part, just to end this video with, the funny part is, you want to know who's talking about who built this country? Trump. That's Trump. If you remember, Trump said that Black Americans built this country, that we really did build this country. Now,
God, Trump became, when he ran the second time, he was listening to all those women and anti-whites and anti-white lights, some of them hardcore anti-white. And he went out there with this totally ignorant appeal and made statements like that. Really, what an idiot when it came to the application of those specific strategies. What a fool that he
Now he goes on to say that, you know, we all built this country, but you guys aren't getting credit for it.
Boy.
African Americans built this nation.
Wow.
You built this nation.
How many votes did he get for that? I don't get it. I don't get why are white people this out of touch? This is the craziest thing ever. He should have known. This is and you know what? He would have known because he's an actual genius. He would have known, but what he had was he was surrounded with female advisors, female leaders, and they were on him all the time. And you look at the recommendations of women, most women, not all women, but the vast majority, they're geared to making children, very young children, get along. And the same recommendation here, just tell little Johnny that you recognize his worth and he will be good again. No, hussy, shut your mouth. This isn't a nursery room.
You know, you're just starting to get real credit for that. Okay, I don't know if you know that. You're just starting to get, you built the nation. We all built it, but you were such a massive part of it. Bigger than you were given credit for. Does that make sense? Right?
Does the white race get credit for being America, for projecting America onto the continent, for projecting Canada onto the continent? Those places don't exist without white people projecting them onto the continent. We projected our instincts onto the European continent. We projected them on to Australia, New Zealand. That's why they look Western. Do white people as a group get any credit for anything? No. Did Trump ever mention that? Did Trump ever go before the thousands and thousands, hordes and hordes of white people who came out to support him and say, you white people never get credit for building Western civilization. Wouldn't be here without you. And no civilization's better than any other by any cosmic metric. But people do have preferences, and it seems like a lot of people prefer Western civilization on planet Earth. So you white people deserve the credit for Western civilization. No, he's just going to go, and the thing is, to the black community, and paternalistically pat them on the head and say, your whole group just built this. You people who are today, you're the people, your entire race is the one who built America. We all contributed, but you did a massive share and you're not getting your acclaim for it. Not only are there other reasons I'm not going to go into for time, but plenty of black people are going to see exactly what he's doing and be offended by it. And it won't result in little Johnny deciding that he's going to like you.
You guys see this amazing truck?
Another
My car insurance
commercial.
company was
3 commercials. This guy is making bank off of.
Right. The reason why he has to say this, the reason why he had to tiptoe that line is due to the fact of the white Ignants. Because the reason he lost.
God, I now hate this guy. Can I say that? Can I say, or the character that he's playing? This is not a good person.
Wasn't tiptoe that line is due to the fact of the white Ignants. Because the reason he lost was in fact due to white men not voting for him. He lost a white male vote. So you have to understand the Ignants.
He didn't lose the white male vote, dum-dum. The white male vote declined. If he had lost it, more white males would have voted for Biden. It declined because he was bending over he's bending over and spreading his cheeks for votes from the black race. He was promising the platinum plan and anything and everything. And you all built the country. Let me just placate you some more. Totally insulting for good black people. I'm sure. Totally insulting for good, smart black people. We're probably like, that's disgusting. That is despicable. That you're treating me like a child. I would really be offended by that if I'd have been, but I'm offended as it on the other side, as a white guy, who are like, what the are you talking about? White people in this country have gone through absolute hell. You can't get through it. Thank God there are organizations out there that help wounded warriors and all this sort of stuff, because the regime wouldn't do shit for them. And who are these combat veterans? The vast majority, even though the military is full of non-white people, the combat roles continue to be dominated by white people, in my opinion. Check it out for yourself. I might be wrong. And then we see these, and it's all of these guys with their arms blown off and their face blown off and their limbs blown off and their dignity blown away. We go through hell for this country. And here you have this gamer sitting in air conditioning. Thank you, white race. With electricity. Thank you, white race. Gaming console. Thank you, white race. Who taught the Japanese how to create gaming? You all might want to go back and watch, do some research. You're not going to be able to go to the official history books. They're not going to talk about this. I could tell you about something right now. But you're going to have to go back and see, how did, like, Japan, for example, start producing gaming and gaming systems, etc. Go have a look. Go have a look. I don't know. I might not have enough time to tell this other story. But he's doing all of this in the climate control, creature comforts, living better than European, than white kings just a couple hundred years ago. No time at all. And it's nothing but complaints, endless complaints. Why is that? Because of the narrative we live under, this death shroud. Folks, you better shake it off, or it means the end of our people.
The white Ignants within the Republican Party, and it makes it hard for anyone to advocate for black Americans, okay?
Anybody to advocate. Nobody advocates for black Americans. It's only like every day we have to put up with it. Every single day we have to hear about it. It gets a little tedious. It gets a little monotonous, I must say. It gets a little quotidian. I know I went over your head with that first of those 3 words, but I wanted to go skyscrapers over it, buddy. It gets a little monotonous. All right? How often do politicians advocate for white people? Oh, 0.
It makes it extremely difficult because they don't want to lose a vote. But the problem is the vote is comprised of anti-black racists.
God.
So I very much remember when they were even complaining about.
So anybody voting Republican is this word that anti-whites consider consummate evil. The anti-white slur concept racist.
The platinum plan. They were complaining about when he was, meeting with Kim Kardashian, when prison reform and whatnot, right?
Listen, I don't think, somehow we really have to communicate it. I and so many other white people are so fucking sick and tired of having to talk about, having everything to stop and slow down and let's have a conversation about black males. We're fucking sick of it. There are black males I know and I've known over the course of my life, great black guys, successful, educated, living good lives, law-abiding, etc. If you can't act like them, then the fucking problem is you. I don't give a stop. Don't lump all black males in. It's like, what can we do for the black males now? How much more? How do they feel inside? How are they coping with the world? I don't give a fuck. Obey the law. Shut the fuck up. I'm sick and tired of hearing about the it's always an excuse, always another excuse. Meanwhile, I look at the black guys that I've known that are good people and grow up, and somehow they're functioning. Somehow, when they decide to, when they get education, obey the law, you do the right things, go to work, things work out. Jesus.
They're very fragile group of people, and they're very
the most fragile group of people are, it seems, are the guys like this. And he's claiming he's a black male. That's the most fragile group of all. One little word, you can't even complain about being victimized as a white person with everything going on in the world, and this guy's lit by it. He's lit. He's like, what the fuck? We're the only victims. I got to keep getting the perquisites of being the victims in this system. We can't let this anti-white narrative fall, because then I can't keep getting the benefits of it. So I'll use benefits because I know he has no idea what a perquisite is. I got to take it down. He's probably like, is he speaking that French language? What's it called again? French? It's just French, Lucas. Oh, okay. You can do nothing. How about that black anti-white black female on that Charlie Chione, the Asian guy's video, where he said, what are we doing to white people? This is ridiculous, victimizing white people. Do you remember I think it was a anti-white, it was definitely anti-white, but I think it was a anti-white black female, where she said, white people talking about the Holocaust, and they get all sad for Jews, where they don't know that we're the Jews. It's like, are you joking? So the people who are being mourned over and that people feel guilt for and they have to placate and have to make amends to, that's the position you're fighting for? Maybe that's why your life sucks.
They're very jealous as well. They're extremely jealous, and you have to understand they've been coddled.
This guy, somebody said, I know I saw projection in the live chat. Smart people here in this live chat, not like his live chat. Smart people here. This guy is like the personification of projection. That is the basis of anti-whiteism, is the jealousy and the envy. And it begins with the great history that we as white people who identify as white and proud to be white, that we inherit. We inherit this great history of our forefathers who built castles, who tamed mountains and rivers, who tamed disease, who conquered all that which sought to conquer us, who built Western civilization that became a desire for most of the world's population. We have the great epics, the great tales of our people, and we inherit all of that glory. And what does he want to do with the education? Do you remember of history? Do you remember the beginning of the video? What did I say that history serves? He wants to rewrite the history books so that it serves him in the present. Because why? When he looks back, he doesn't see a history recorded by, I don't know, can you really even say his people, by some of his genetic heritage that he feels like he can take pride in? Where is the great country in Africa that he can reference? I'm not saying that mockingly. I'm not saying that. Where can he say, if he's going to be this big black nationalist, what great empires that did marvelous things, that I don't know, we built castles. That doesn't mean that they have to build castles. These are completely different biospirits in the world, and they have different instincts. They produce different things on the world. But for some reason, whatever they were projecting onto the environment in Africa is not something that he feels prideful about. So instead, he wants to steal your history. And my friends, they're doing it. With a straight face, they can make the argument. It doesn't matter how silly it is. That's why it's because of a moral imperative. It doesn't matter how silly it is. It has the force of a moral imperative behind it when he says that Black people in bondage built America. It doesn't matter how funny. It doesn't matter how logically incorrect and obviously incorrect it is, because it has the force of a moral imperative about it. And this is where I and everyone else in the white sympathetic sphere and those who are going free, implementing this strategy in their life, this practice in their life, diverge from everybody else in the white sympathetic sphere, because they want to just laugh about it. They just want to say, well, look, it's obviously wrong. They just want to get up in a church and say, look at what they're doing to us, and everybody clap at that, and that be the end of it. We change it. That's why whenever avant-garde comes along, when it genuinely comes along, you get tall poppy syndrome, and it's nothing but the attacks, and we're going to fight through it. The first group of people that we have to fight through, I don't know if you've all have noticed this yet, is not anti-whites of all different races, but it's the so-called people that are fellow travelers or should be allies or would be allies. Those are the first ones we have to fight through if we're going to recapture our destiny. No use in laughing at this. You know what? Your great-great-granddaddy, your great-granddaddy heard stuff like this and then went, hee, that's the funniest thing I heard. And then went on to forget about it. And look where we are today. In some places, men bathing with little girls. Because your great-great-grandpappy, your great-grandpappy, and your grandpappy, and your father, and your mothers all along the line were too dumb and too lazy and too egocentrical to figure this out, to focus on the people, to realize that if we are going to have individual well-being, it's only possible through group well-being. Well, I came along and did it. And others who were having these thoughts incipiently in them saw the Go Free method, and they are now the apostles who have come to this. You're not going to be able to laugh at this and just walk away. If you do, it's going to be like our once great country, South Africa, all over planet Earth.
Throughout this entirety of this country, they have been coddled, said that, hey, you're the greatest, you're the smartest, you're the bravest, you're the best.
Is that what you heard, white people? Anybody listening? Did anybody say to you throughout your education, throughout entertainment, your entire life? And remember, when I talk about this, you don't get another one. You don't get another one. Even if you believe in something like reincarnation, you have no proof of it. This is it. Your life has been ruined. You were never told that you were smart, great, beautiful because of the white race. You were never told that by the institutions of power across the West. Coddled. There is no group more coddled than black males in the West, in my opinion. And as I say again, the good black people that I know have rejected that, and they hate it. They're disgusted with it because of what it obviously is doing to them, to their community, to the West, etc. So we don't draw lines here. Make it very clear again and again, because so much of what people come with, what they bring with them from their past, is about drawing lines on races. It's not about drawing lines on races or on religions. We're down to the bare bones, folks. We're down to the bare bones. It's going to be people of all races, all religions, that see that anti-whiteism is destroying Western civilization, coming through arguments like this anti-white bastard here, that are going to have to come together to put this down. This is the great moral struggle of our age. And if we don't approach it like this, it never will be. And this will be it. And it will be our fault.
And now that facade is slowly crumbling right in front of their face as the truth seeps through. And they're doing everything in their power to block it. Everything. As we can see, once again, I bring up DeSantis, doing everything in his power to block the truth, to shield them from the uncomfortable truth. But hey,
white children, that what we've experienced, what you all experienced. Where I got started, if you all haven't read Born Guilty, it's 700 some pages. You got to be smart. But where I got started, I'll just share quickly because we're at 2 hours, 20 minutes, and this is almost done, is that I was in preschool at a Christian preschool. I was at preschool. And with 2 teachers in the classroom, because we're all little kids and we're still learning to obey. And they brought in a big flip chart into the classroom. And on the flip chart were cartoon characters like this big for everybody to see. And it was intended to teach good and bad behavior to us. So it depicted the cartoon characters doing things like pushing in line or helping somebody up, pulling hair, or etc., stealing a toy. I noticed by chance that all of the villains, all of the kids doing bad things on this flip chart were white little boys just like me. And the victims, non-white children. And I remember I thought, what are they condemning me and little boys like me for? I didn't think white race. I was a child in preschool. I just said to myself, why are they condemning me and little boys like me? I know I had friends with other racial backgrounds, Black, Asian kid was a good friend in preschool. There was a Black kid that was a good friend. And I said, they're just like us. They push, etc. So why are we the ones that are being condemned? As a consequence of seeing that serendipity, if you will, I then noticed in the songs we sang at church, this emphasis on what I later in life realized was anti-whiteism. I had no idea. I just knew something seemed amiss. I went on to elementary school, still totally ignorant of what was going on in the world. Parents not saying, let us teach you about, no. I watched my cartoons. I watched the stories, the way history was presented. It was all angled at demonizing my people and therefore me, which is exactly what this guy wants. He said so in this video. Teach them about how evil your forefathers were. White man. Whole life ruined. Not once was I ever told by establishment, or anywhere that I can think of as a child, anywhere. No one ever said, you're great because the white race is great. No, I was in junior high school when I suddenly realized, wow, my people have done a lot of epic things. White people have done a lot of epic things. And then I decided, initially I was like, I'm going to be proud of being a Southerner. I'm white Southerner. I'm proud of that. Then I was like, well, I'm also proud of being a white American. Then I was like, why should I draw these lines, these arbitrary lines? I can take credit and pride for my people's work everywhere. And so I went the opposite direction of the anti-whites. They wanted me to feel guilt, white guilt, for white people everywhere. And I decided to take pride in white people everywhere. That's the only thing that's going to save us. And if you're too thick to realize that, or too thick or hidebound to submit to it and say, this is the way to go, this is what works, then just get lost, because we need this train to roll. It's got to roll fast because time's running out.
You can only shield them for so long, bro. You can only shield them for so long.
You can only shield them for so long, bro, because us anti-whites, we're going to get to those white babies of yours.
Before the truth comes out, and guess what? The truth shall set you free. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Let me know what you guys think. Whether or not you believe, look, that's not true, okay? All right, it was the Irish.
That's him, I guess, predicting me coming along. Do you think that's a good interpretation of me? Maybe it's a little bit. Kind of leaning forward with my head tilted. That's probably accurate.
Slaves too, okay? We all built this. That's not true. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Let me know what you guys think. Whether or not you believe, look, that's not true, okay? All right, it was the Irish were slaves too, okay? We all built this country.
I don't know that. I wouldn't make the argument that the Irish were slaves too. In fact, I would say the Irish, when they began coming over to the United States en masse, they were treated much worse, in my opinion, than the majority of people who were in bondage, which includes blacks, whites, and American Indians. Because in bondage, they were like the equivalent of machinery. They were like the equivalent of any other tool or beast of burden or what have you that were relied upon and needed to function well, to function at optimal level, etc. And not only that, but Christianity influenced slavery in the United States. And I've been to a lot of plantations to visit and see what the homes were like, look at the architecture, is very neat, and to see the slave quarters. And I got to see where slaves on these properties lived. And you know something that's interesting? In so many of these places I went to, the slave quarters were better than apartments I've lived in. The architecture was beautiful, stone floors, everything. Much better than apartments I lived in. Now, I had modern conveniences like electricity, but the plantation owner didn't have electricity. What happened to the Irish? They came into the ports of New York, and the industrialists up there decided that they were going to pay them a pittance, and then they could go live in mud. They could go live in squalor, and that's all they could afford. They could go live without medicaments. They could go live, and I use that word specifically because I know this guy wouldn't understand it. Go look it up, buddy. They had to live without everything that was supplied to people who had to be kept healthy and productive, etc. They were just, and when they couldn't come to work because they were so broken, the Irish, they just said, "You're fired. We'll get another guy off the boat." That's how they were treated. Now, slavery is an absolutely evil institution, which is why the white race put an end to it on planet Earth. You're welcome.
Or if you don't believe, listen, the Irish were not slaves. Please.
But of course, it's my opinion whether or not the white race put an end to slavery on planet Earth. Please investigate. I am merely entertaining and sharing opinions, and perhaps I have it wrong. And there are places out there, certainly CNN and other institutions of higher learning, that will be happy to tell you the truth. And then you can come back and educate me on whether or not I was right or wrong.
His
straw man argument there.
It gets to the point where they just throw anything, bruh. The chipmunks were slaves, bruh.
Chipmunks were slaves, bruh. The chipmunks. I think he's actually mocking actual black people when he talks like that, when he does that. Why doesn't he get in trouble for that?
Sesame Street, okay? Elmo was a slave. What? They just lose their mind, bruh. They go.
That's exactly what I would say. Elmo was a slave. We got to make it.
They go into a rage of some sort.
Wait, what's his shirt say? Don't abort, swallow. Class act. Class act.
Anyways, if you happen to disagree with this video, you're more than welcome to call in during disagreement days, which are typically held Friday through Sunday. There'll be a number on screen. You call in, we duke it out. Either or. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe.
Okay, so he looks very Arab there. So this is our solo activist that I didn't name because I didn't hear back from him whether or not I could say. Our great solo activist out there, we have a bunch of, and when I say solo activist, I don't mean somebody who just says, oh yeah, I agree with the white well-being thing, and every now and again I go, no, for God's sakes, these are people who are totally giving their time, energy, genius, their creativity, the strategies they formulate to go out into the world, to find individuals, to find accounts, to find law firms, to find different places, and to present to them in the best way possible the key concepts and the Go Free method itself. Wonderful people. So one of these solo activists got to me with this guy. I'm really glad he did, because we could review it here. And this guy actually did a great job. He did a great service, because he presented quite a number of meme pathogens we use. If you get into the Go Free method, you'll find out what those are. Anti-white arguments. He brought them forward one right after the other. And then I, for you, dismantled these. Now you can go back, you have this video, you can go back and you can use the arguments that I made in your conversations with friend, family, and strangers. You don't need to wait for a radical anti-white like this guy to come forward to finally have it out with them, because we don't want that. That's a waste of our time. We want you to go to people who can hear the message, our brothers and sisters out there. We want you to go to non-white people who are good people, who can hear the message. You can hear the truth about what's going on. You talk about these things reasonably. You can take the arguments I made and you can present them to these individuals and thereby persuade them. This is reason, logic, and evidence at the 201 IQ level. We totally dismantled this guy. We absolutely dismantled him, his arguments. He really looked like he was pedaling without a chain, backward underwater. I mean, it was terrible for him. And his invitation for folks to call in, I think our activist said he tried, maybe. I won't say one way or the other, but very likely that he will just talk over you if you call in to have an argument with him. It will be a waste of your time. Instead, get out to folks who can hear. And I'm going to see what y'all have to say right now after we just totally dismantled this anti-white. Boy, that felt good. Okay, we have one financial gift over on Entropy. Thank you very much to that one person. Financially gifting $3, $3 US. God bless you. Says, I believe that the correct psychological term for this type of behavior is psychopath. So true. He doesn't realize that the effort that he is putting into trolling will only discredit the few points he makes. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say, thank you very much for the comment. I wouldn't say that it was a troll and he didn't believe these things, in the sense if we're defining troll the same way. He definitely, from what I can tell, believes what he's saying. He definitely thinks this is the truth. And we have to get out there and raise this flag, do this battle, so that we can prevent white people from coming together in defense of themselves. Because he realizes implicitly, as someone who is exploiting the practice of guilting another group of people, he realizes implicitly, even without having the intelligence, that if that victimized group realizes that they are indeed victimized, not the exploiter, that he and his grift and this wild ride of sexual conquest that he gets out of all of the white guilted white people around him, financial. I mean, I was at just today, I went to the post office and I picked up a wonderful package from the Great Elaine Sabatino, which I will be opening later and I'll share with everybody on Sunday. And I saw a black guy. Now, I don't know. This is the problem in an anti-white world. I don't know if he deserved what I saw. Because with anti-whiteism in place, I know that white people are not hired, not promoted, not given entrance to the university, etc. We could go on and on, so that anti-whites can have an anti-white outcome. Non-white people are collateral beneficiaries of that. So maybe this black guy I saw, maybe he was a genius mover and shaker. What just happened? Are we still rolling or not? Okay, we are. I thought they ended the stream on me. He might have been a genius mover and shaker and was hired and promoted, and he was, who knows what else. But then again, maybe he got a job and promotions so that a white guy couldn't. And that is something you just can't know in a system where all of the companies are anti-white. They brag about increasing diversity, which means getting rid of white people because there aren't infinite seats. But this guy, I come in with like a regular car without a pot to piss in. I have to, like, all my clothing I have to preserve for as long as I possibly can. My watch or anything that I have, I've got to preserve for as long as I can. I can't like keep upgrading. I can't just get rid of. This guy rolls in there looking like $1 million. Fantastic. Looking like his clothes, $1 million. Driving a Range Rover, totally customized, not like in a low budget way where you can see things get tricked out and it's just garbage and they bought garbage, I guess, rims and everything else you can get for a car. No, this thing was cherry beautiful, easily $60,000+ vehicle. Shoes that were easily more expensive than my whole attire and probably the tires on my car. So this is if he didn't deserve that, if it wasn't because of his industry and his intelligence and etc., which it can't be for all of these people with this system in place, this is the consequence of anti-whiteism. And people like this know, people like this guy here know that will come to an end when white people say enough is enough. But we're going to have to acknowledge the point at which we're being attacked, because you cannot defend against an attack by any other means. You can't attempt to end an attack by claiming you can't see it, saying you can't see color. You have to acknowledge where you're being attacked. And we are attacked on the basis of our birth, on the basis of the white race. We are, all of our things that we love and cherish, attacked because we create those things, or we adopt those things from other groups and we cherish them. So I think this guy absolutely means it. And I think that he implicitly knows that us coming together to say it's anti-white and enough is enough is the signs. Those are the omens for the anti-whites, that this grift, this largesse that they've been able to come upon because of anti-whiteism is coming to its end. Thank you very much to Jacked. $3 Jacked over there on Entropy. Let me see about Odyssey. No financial gifts over there, but we did have, is that Thick Boo talking about that Disney cartoon, saying it's some shit on Disney. That's funny. All right. And what about over here on D Live? All right. I don't see any. Wait. No, that was, yeah, I think those were the other day. Spartan says it's amazing that this much hypocrisy can exist without a huge instant backlash. Well, see, that's the problem, is that hypocrisy for white people is a we really are disgusted by it. And then advocates who want to push back against anti-whiteism, they think all you have to do is present the hypocrisy to our brothers and sisters, and then by some god of the gaps, we'll have a resistance. I mean, you can even name the leaders in the white sympathetic sphere, and that's the kind of shit they think. That's the kind of low tier shit that they think. I mean, just, we got to speak reality. It's not being mean. You know, when I played football, playing college football. It wasn't mean for me to say that I could jump the highest. I had the highest vertical leap, that I was the fastest on the team. That's not mean for me. That's just a fact. This is just a fact. These people are wrong. All right. So we present hypocrisy for the purpose of introducing key concepts, the Go Free method, etc. So thank you very much for that. But you're right. It's hypocrisy, double standards everywhere. Let me have a look at Cash App. And we'll see what's going on there. And we have... the great, let me make sure if I see your first name here. So I don't know if it's your real first name, actually. So I'll just use that. No, I'll say Ranger. Ranger, folks, please get out your raucous emojis. Really grateful to Ranger for this. The past 2.5 hours that we've been reviewing this. Ranger financially gifted 50 white well-being dollars. 50 way to put down the anti-white bastard on the screen dollars. God bless you, brother. I really appreciate that. Thank you so very much. And Ranger writes with those 50 US dollars. Hopefully, I'll be on Twitter longer. Well, I hope you will be, man. Keep it pristine. Keep it Promethean. And you'll remain. $50. I really appreciate it. You see, you get to see with me the money that is given as a gift to me. You get to see it. Who knows how much money this Lucas, the unamazing Lucas. We have to add this prefix "un" to his claim of being amazing, because that was pretty unamazing if you ask me. But the unamazing Lucas, who knows how much money he's rolling in. He showed 3 big company commercials during this stream. Can you imagine? He got on a stream for 15 minutes to trash the shit out of white people and to say that they can only be good if they're anti-white, that white babies have to learn how to be white guilted for the supposed claims of evil of our ancestors. And he's getting paid 3 big accounts running on this one video. Absolutely despicable, demonstrating who's actually in charge, that it's anti-whites. So I really appreciate it. God bless you, brother. And we have here Tamara. Thank you, sister. I really appreciate $10.10. 1010 says here, she writes, been hearing your lexicon everywhere. And thank you for saying your lexicon. God bless you. It's technically, it's everybody here. It's everybody here. We are all leaders. There's no one leader here. I actually got a message from one of these antags who are specifically an antique nationalist, probably a cult nat on top of that, and said that criticized me for us being a sort of everybody's a leader, everybody is celebrated for their good work. Can you believe that? Actually thinking, and there's another group out there, I'm not going to say, but they were really like celebrating and touting this new guy who gave a speech where he said everyone has to invest their time and energy and celebration and power in him, and then the white race will be able to do whatever he expects it will do. How insane is that? Thank you very much for that. But to say that, to come around, the day has to come when more and more people out in the world say, I know where that comes from, and I'm going to be mature enough and white enough to give credit where credit is due. So thank you for that very much, Tamara. We also have, we also have the great No White Guilt clips. Came in twice. Please, 007s for the great No White Guilt clips. He's hard at work all the time, making memes. He's doing everything under the sun. He's superhuman. 007, hand over the heart if you have any emojis. Raucous emojis. Please. No White Guilt Clips, $105. $105. And he writes this. He says, hello, I would like some factories, please. That is so awesome. Hello. You're like, I've printed up a bunch of green pieces of paper, and I'm just going to head down into, I don't know, you name the country, you name it, just some country other than the West, and say, oh, I would just like to buy things that don't exist yet. Can you buy some things that don't exist yet? Oh, the value is not in the money. Brilliantly put, brother. I really thank you. God bless you. $105 from No White Guilt Clips. I think the first statue has to go. I think maybe the first statues, what we're seeing so far, let's be honest, of people who are getting out there and really rocking, two of the first ones. We're going to have, maybe we'll start a number of statues all at the same time. But two of those first ones are going to be No White Guilt Clips and Yiz. It's amazing the work that these people are doing. We have another 07 raucous emojis. Cool Papa J Magic, who has just been like epic since he showed up. God bless you. $25. And actually wrote here for an epic stream. So cool. God bless you, man. Thank you so much. Cool Papa J Magic getting in here to celebrate. Take this info. Take what I shared here. Reword it if you have to for whoever you're talking to, but don't lose the dialectic. Don't you lose the argument. Don't you lose the arc of what we're saying here. And if you're getting confused, you can ask me, you can ask Clips, you can ask Fornull. You got tons of smart people. You can ask Slots, you can ask Fornull and Slots are two more that would get the first statues going up. We have here Dr. I coming in with a $5 financial gift over here on Cash App. God bless you, dear brother. Coming in, Dr. I. Gonna work on your eyes. I might need some. Things are getting blurry for me. But thank you so much. And boy, more 07s and raucous emojis. This is like a testimonial in and of itself to smack this guy right back in the face, to be like, that's what we think about your anti-whiteism, trying to parade your anti-whiteism as a black person. He's not even really a black person, just by my observation. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but just by my observation. Just kind of a smack. Maybe that's how his face goes when it's like a love tap so that he even smiles. $25. Get back to your video game. $25 by Maki. Raucous emojis, applause. I see applause in there. Thank you so much for celebrating. Raucous emojis, applauding hands for Maki. $25. He says here, whites have to love themselves the most. Absolutely. What I've always said, beautifully written, what I says, I love my people. I like everyone. I love my people. I like everyone. That's how I live my life. That's where I start. Now, regrettably, with most white people I come across today, I find much of what there's not to love. So I end up having to love their potential. I end up having to love the children that aren't diseased yet. But thank you. I really appreciate that. Those are good, strong words. And I want to thank everybody who is celebrating in the live chat. It's brilliant. And we just had First Last appear. He must be somewhere. Financially gifting $5. Thank you, good brother. And he says for it to go toward his statue. We'll definitely have a statue for you as well, brother. We're going to have we have a pantheon where all of these, like, this is the original crew. This is the original. This is like the inner circle. This is the original crew that is making it happen around the world. We're not going to let each other forget who made the sacrifices and who was making it happen. Absolutely not. Thank you. I really appreciate that. First, last. I see. I was first, last right there in the live chat. Great to see you, brother. All right. Thank you, Davey, for celebrating. Lunder says, make sure my statues. Oh, my God. I'm not reading that. You'll be dressed, my friend. You'll be dressed. Persona says that he is half Arab. Well, it can't be half Arab, black, and white. He could be thirds. Helios, there you are, brother. He says, I see Jason spend some time on this reprehensible character. Hopefully it'll get some views. Randall, you get a statue, and you get a statue. You get a statue, and you get a statue, and you get a statue, and you get a statue. Absolutely. Sloth says, rocking it. All right, let me see what you all are saying here. See if there are any questions and or comments about this that I'll read. Make sure you tag me, and then we're going to wrap it up. I've got to get back to work for white well-being in other ways. Thank you all for celebrating these champions who hit the $20 mark or higher. Obviously, really no white guilt clips and Ranger. There's Musami Rabbit. Great to see you, brother. So I'm strolling through. Axum says individualism is cancer. It is. The radical individualism. We're naturally individualistic, which is why we have to focus mentally on working together and finding our individual well-being by way of our group's well-being. I think monthly contributors should have a minute or few spot or money or few spot on every Sunday, not just every month. I want to know their names. They should. The only problem is that, and that's my same sentiment. My only problem, or the only problem with it, is that takes up a little chunk of time, and new viewers, they see that once, twice, three times, they might think, I'm not coming back. He's taking so much time up. But I'd put them all in neon lights. I'd put everybody who wants to allow folks to celebrate them on the stage. Lynn says, I disagree with the prefix. Lucas is amazing, amazingly insecure. Oh, well put. Well played, my friend. And amazingly insecure and hateful, along with amazingly insane. William is here. So true, my brother. So true. LT says, no, I guilt. You are awesome. Well, thank you for that. So are you, LT. Says, got your book a few weeks ago. It's excellent. I use your philosophy every day. Listen to this testimonial, folks. People are listening to me. You are brilliant. So grateful for you and our community. And a little heart emoji. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. Folks will hear that. You might think to yourself that, oh, it's a small thing, but I'm showing my appreciation. It's more, it will end up working more good than you could imagine, because there are people who will either hear my voice or see what you wrote that are going to investigate, who knows where they might grab themselves and in their lives, how wretched it might be and where they might go after that, even if it's just to get them out of the pits of despair. But it could be, who knows? You never know how far your reach is going to go. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, because that statement is going to help others. God bless you, LT. Great Melody Dawn says here, you're not the only one. A lot of us have to preserve what we have. We're not materialistic. Absolutely. Oh, yeah, she absolutely understands 100%. Well, I know that. This community, I wish we had someone in the back or people in the back with big money, and they were just like, there you go. Now, nobody else would have to, they could just spend all of their time doing advocacy. Absolutely. We're all working class people. That's why the financial gifts are so deeply appreciated. I mean, if this was like Ross Perot, that was like, here's $100, I would be like, keep it, buddy. I mean, could you imagine? I mean, he's dead now, but I mean, could you imagine somebody with that wealth? That's like, here's $100. Hyperborean Jim says, we love the work and wisdom you bring, brother. Thank you. God bless you for that, Hyperborean Jim. Always a great soul, always pushing for white well-being. Elaine Sabatino saying, thank you. I love it. She's, can't say enough about Elaine. Beautiful, wonderful person. Hyperborean Jim, people should get involved in a GFC or OT. Yeah, they absolutely should. I mean, if you want to be a solo advocate, then you could do this. Your prerogative. A lot of people do that. Like, and when I say my definition of solo advocate, not just somebody that's says, oh yeah, I agree, and every now and again I'll drop something. But you could do that. But your growth will be much faster in a going free club, and you can find in the description below links to many of them, and you can start one on your own. You've been around for a while. Just ask me about how to do that. We can make it happen. And the outreach team, we've got the open chats you can get involved. We got outreach team. We got an outreach team that is sort of more in the background. They're available. When you start talking around, you'll find out who they are, and they might bring you on board. But these are, communal efforts. People work together and they get bigger results. Sometimes solo advocates do just unbelievable things, without question. We've had some really big things done by solo advocates, but when you work with a group, it's faster, it's stronger. So reach out and try to participate. Helios Abbott was the solo advocate who brought this guy to my attention, who brought the amazingly insecure and hateful Lucas to my attention. And he's out there. Big bravo. Thank you and salute to you, brother, for the hard work that you're doing. Thank you for bringing this guy to my attention, because this whole stream, my review of this and all of the arguments I was able to present to undermine this anti-whites positions and arguments will benefit a great many people as a consequence. So brilliantly done. Thank you so much for that. We have a John 1-1 is here. Hello to you. And slavery is not an institution. That would be like calling murder an institution or greed an institution. Well, great point. Thank you for that. And that was biospiritual harmony. First Last is still with us. Oh, there's Mrs. Just Horst. Great to see you, dear lady. Wonderful that you can make it. Go back through, if you weren't here the whole time, watch these hours, because you'll find some really strong arguments to use against anti-whites. You could teach your amazing children, and then they will go out into the world and do great things for white well-being. Helios says, I'll be reviewing the stream. Sorry I was late. Thank you, good sir. Thank you, good sir. This all happened, and everybody got empowered here because of you. Lunder says, I compliment you. That down under is probably like a really big thing. I compliment you. Awesome, brother. I appreciate it. I salute you as well. Lunder's hard at work in the background, folks, making it happen. All right. Seeing if we have anybody else here with any tags. Hyperborean Jim submitting for your consideration that we are part individualist, but in part tribalistic. I think that we are the least, in my opinion. I know that all of the races of man are perfectly identical genetically. I know that that's the truth. But for some reason, white people seem to, from a maybe, I don't know, something akin to a genetic level, inclined to individualism. And that's why it's so important that we focus on working as a group for our well-being. Alex Simpson says, no white guilt. He's no nice guy. Meaning me? Or the guy on the screen? When I come up against an anti-white, I'm not gentle, I'm afraid. I was thinking before we got started tonight, I was thinking, maybe I should just like see what this guy says, let the video run for like a minute at a time, and then maybe pick one thing out of it. But these arguments, the problem is that these are, for me, I guess maybe one of my flaws, is that when I hear what's a meme pathogen, an anti-white idea, something that harms us, I don't see it just coming out of that person's mouth, and I don't see it just being an affront to me. I have like an instantaneous experience of feeling and seeing it being argued by many anti-whites against really vulnerable white people, especially white children. And it really starts firing me up because I just know these arguments are being made to white kids, and they're just, doing this. And the authority figures, the gods in their world, the teachers, the administrators, police officers, politicians, they've come into their world and they said, they say this anti-white thing, this is the truth. This is the law. This is the morality. You need to hate yourself. Just like this guy was saying, just like Lucas was saying. And I just want to step in between. I don't want to say like, get back, devil. You will not victimize them. Time Traveler says he's looking forward to the conference in Texas. Have you reached out to me? Do you want to attend? Jim says, I would like for my statue to have a cool winter coat or a leather jacket and a pair of cool shades. You got it, man. That would be awesome. Would you want like one of those old fighter pilot jackets with the fur there? Leather with the fur there? All right. Looks like we caught up everybody there. Let's make sure we're caught up here. Okay, we are. Let me turn around to here. Okay. Nobody else there. Let's look over here. Looks like on D Live. What is that? Oh, Synergistic left a sticker that says, oh my God, Becky. I still can't even say it's Becky something blunt. So it was probably when this guy was looking high. And we are blank over here. So good. We didn't miss anybody. Well, folks, it's been another epic roll in with you all. Hyperborean Jim says, I wear my grandfather's leather jacket. No fur, though. Well, hey, man, if you've been passing that down, that's a really cool thing. Make sure you get that saddle wax on it. Whatever it takes to keep it around for a long time. He says, Alex says he means the anti-white doofus is known. No, you're right. Oh, that's what I said early on. Okay, I get it. I said, maybe this guy's a nice guy. And Alex is saying, no, he's no nice guy. Yeah, you're absolutely right. We figured that out. This guy's rabidly anti-white. Wants to teach white kids to hate themselves. Actually said it wide open himself there. They need to know about their forefathers and how evil they are, because then we can all be anti-white and destroy the system. Okay. That's a really demonic thing, an anti-white thing to say. So we're going to finger you for that. Not in the way that you like either. And with that, I love you all. Let's go free. Roll out. I want you to reach out in love. I want you to let those brothers and sisters around the base, let them know that even though the anti-whites wield so much power, that we are winning every contest with them, and that it's only a matter of time. Tell them that they can be more than they are. Tell them that they can stand up for Western kind, Western civilization, and everyone who lives in Western civilization of all immutable characteristics. Tell them that there's a way that they can stand up for it in love with the moral high ground. Be gentle with them at first. Coming out of a story that you thought was the real world is one of the hardest things that folks can do. If you go there with a true spirit and a true heart, with humility, you're going to win more souls than you'll ever turn away. And in the end, all of that will redound to the glory of our people and the reclamation of our destiny.